And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to
Hello.
another live stream with special guest Anthony's Horror and More.
Hey, how's it
And
going?
and today we're going to be sharing our movie hot takes. Yes, we're going to get controversial tonight and share
Yeah.
um and just share what our most controversial takes in movies and film are, and hopefully duke it out. Hopefully, get some fun comments in there. If you want to share
Yeah,
your hot takes, go ahead. We'll respond to them. Maybe make fun of you a little bit.
absolutely.
Or
Oh, yeah, yeah, because they're
yeah,
going to be ripping on us. That's for damn sure.
yeah. That's
Right.
always the
Well,
most fun part of hot takes is the discussion of like, what? Like
you don't like
you
that
don't,
movie?
yeah,
Right.
or you hate that movie.
Yeah.
Just
Or my favorite, you haven't seen that movie? There's people give that to you a lot too. You know what I mean?
like
Like, what? You
I don't
haven't
have
seen that?
time to watch everything.
All
It's
right.
like
Like, I've seen a
so
lot of
many
movies.
things I want to watch.
Yeah, I mean, there's just too many out there.
Yeah, I think right now on my Letterboxd, I have like logged like 800 something films total ever. So,
Oh, okay, total like lifetime in your letterbox is
hmm
800 right now.
yeah,
Yeah, and what? How
and
long
I'm
have
sure
you
I'm
been?
missing stuff.
How long have you been on Letterbox?
I've been using Letterboxd like regularly for about a year now,
Oh,
but
that's good for a year, dude. 800
well,
movies in a
well,
year?
no, that's not all a year. There was just like one day where I just like sat down. I just went to like Wikipedia and was looking at movies that released in this year, and I just started working my way back in years and just like logging all these movies that I've seen in the past
Yeah, but that's still
just to
pretty
get like a
good. I mean,
backlog. But yeah,
yeah, that's still fine though. I mean, that's a good, that's a good starting point for sure. I mean, whether they're new movies or old movies, whatever, that's still a good starting point.
yeah, and I didn't get too far into that Wikipedia thing. I only went through like 5 years because what I first did is like went through my whole shelves here and was like, have I seen that? Yeah, and then I like did it, and
Yeah.
then I only did like up to like 2012 or something on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
So
because there are just certain movies, like, oh yeah, I'm giving this, like Infinity War. You know what I mean? That's probably an easy, like, what is it on Letterbox? 5 stars, up to five
yeah, you can go
stars.
up to five, and you
Like,
go down in increments of half, and the lowest you can give is half a star.
yeah, that's probably a 5 star to me. Like Infinity War, I think is just like a perfect movie. I mean, I understand that it's kind of just like half of a, you know what I mean? Like it has a cliffhanger, but still, it's like it's
I've
just such
actually,
a great
I've
fun
actually
ride.
had this argument with my mom so many times about like
Mhm.
she's like Infinity War and Endgame there it's part one and part two and I'm like I don't really feel the same way because like to me and I feel like there's other people that feel this way too. Infinity War is about it's like Thanos's movie. It's about Thanos and it's
Right.
about who's gonna get all six Infinity Stones and well the answer's Thanos.
Yeah.
He wins in the movie and like then that's like the complete story. It's Thanos's movie. I feel like for Infinity War. And then when you get to Endgame, then it's the Avengers movie of oh how are we going to respond to the events of Infinity War? So I guess I totally understand how you see it as part one and part two. How a lot of people see it as part one and part two, but
Yeah.
to me, I don't. I just see it as these two superhero epics. I
Yeah.
guess because also like part of my mom's defense is that like by itself she doesn't like Infinity War, but like Infinity War and Endgame together she likes.
Well, a lot of people
Um,
don't like
yeah.
the bummer ending. You know what I mean? A lot of
I
people don't.
love that ending.
But
I
I
love
love
that
a dark
ending.
ending. I almost would have been fine just ending it there.
There has always been part of
Yeah.
me, as much
Yeah.
as I think Infinity War is like a flawless superhero movie,
Yeah.
like the moment when it snaps, just cut to black credits, like nothing else, and make you wait for a year to
Yeah, dude,
see
that's a
what even
ballsy ass
happens.
move. Yeah,
Like
that's a gangster move right there. Just nope, that's how it ends.
yeah,
Done. You followed these characters for whatever. They
yeah,
lost.
it's ballsy.
I
Like
like
I
it.
remember seeing that in theaters opening night, and you're just like, because like we're walking into this like, oh, they're not gonna kill off Black Panther, Spider Man. No, those are like that's the future of the MCU, and we're all wrong.
Right.
Like all the new characters start dying. You're like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah,
they're
man. It's
dying.
brutal.
It was just like insane to see who lived and who died in that.
That's a great ending. That's probably honestly that might be my favorite ending to any Marvel movie. Period, because it's just such a ballsy ending. Dude, there were kids crying in the theater. I'll never forget. They're like, I mean, like it was just such a gangster ending. I loved it. Like, because it was the one time like I feel like Marvel really took like a big chance, because you're gonna piss people off with that ending. There's
Oh yeah.
no easy way about it. Like, you are going to make people mad with that ending. So I got to give them credit for that one.
I yeah, I damn, I love that movie so much.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't,
just so good. Every character's journey in that film is just so good. You know what I mean? Like, I have fun watching every single character in the movie. Like, there's no boring plot line. It's all good. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's also like for me it's like so what I was 6 when the first Iron Man came out. So I've like grown up with the MCU up until that point, right? So it's kind of been like the franchise of my life and I'm like really into it and stuff. So just getting to see Infinity War, all these characters together and they just did it so well. It was just like this is like my dream come true.
It is,
And
yeah.
I
It's an
watched it.
epic,
It
man.
was
People
just
thought
yeah.
Lord of the Rings was an epic with the 3 films, which it is. It is, but man, I mean, the MCU doing it with however many films it was up until that point. I think it was like 20
I
something.
think I think Endgame was like film 22, I believe.
22, yeah. So yeah. So it's like, dude, that's insane. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Even if you
like
want to nitpick some of the movies along the way, that's just an insane accomplishment. I mean, no one's ever done that before. That's
no one's
great.
ever made a franchise that's
No.
22 films
Yeah.
and let alone 22 films that are all pretty much universally agreed upon are good movies at their worst.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so
Now for post Endgame,
right.
it's a little rocky,
Right.
but
A little bit more shaky after that, but
yeah.
it's okay,
Hopefully at some
because
point we'll get back on track.
you can just leave it at Endgame if you choose to, and it's
Yeah.
pretty good. You feel pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
Mhm.
obviously it's kind of sad too, but you still, like, I think it's a solid way to end the franchise if you wanted to stop there.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
We could have just done a whole Infinity War stream.
For real. For real. I I could talk about the MCU for hours, man. It's like uh anyways, so what we are here for today. Oh, wait, I guess before we start that, if you aren't aware of who Anthony is, he's been on my channel a few times. So if you're not aware, Anthony, tell us a little bit about, I guess,
Oh
yourself.
yeah, yeah. My channel pretty much just does. I talk a lot about horror, obviously, but not limited to that. I've done videos where I've shown off my entire like superhero collection, my like steelbook collection. I've got a lot of steelbooks for obviously the MCU and DC and the animated movies as well. So I've done videos on that. I've done unboxings for a lot of newer films, but also older films as well. I do NECA figure unboxings, so I'll show those off. Like my boy right here, I'll show him. I love showing him off. But we got Charred Chucky right there. My Charred
Oh, that's
Chucky.
awesome.
I like doing the unboxings for like different toys and stuff. I did a Spirit Halloween video as well. That was a lot of fun, because Spirit Halloween, man, they've got all sorts of good like statues and merchandise and stuff. I love Spirit Halloween when they open up. Yeah, I mean, really, that's about it. Just and I talk about movies. I do movie reviews. Sometimes I'll talk about new movies. Sometimes I'll talk about ones that I just seen on physical media, or older films. Like I did recently, I did a double review where I talked about The Fan with Robert De Niro and Wesley Snipes, and I talked about Fear with Mark Wahlberg. And I did, like, because they're both like 90s thriller movies with like obsessive people. So I did like a double, review there. So that was a lot of fun. And yeah, and then I do a weekly stream, but it's on a hiatus right now because one of our buddies is out of town. But over on the 4K10 Revivals channel, we do the WTF stream where we just break down horror movies, dramas, comedies, whatever it is, but movies that need a little bit more explaining. We'll sit there and we'll break them down live for like a couple hours. Science fiction movies too, anything. And we'll just, as long as they're ambiguous, and we'll sit and we'll sit there and break them down. So, and that's usually Mondays at 7 p.m. But like I said, we're on a little, or 7 p.m. Eastern time, I should say. But we're on a little bit of a hiatus right now, so it'll probably be back in like a month or a few weeks or so. So, but yeah, that's it for me, man.
Yeah, I remember that one of the Steelbook videos you did because you said something about like it says like first print on the inside
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever.
the
And I
Lionsgate
had
steel books.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I had never heard of that before, and so I came home and I was like digging through all my Steelbooks, seeing if I had them, and like even the non-Lionsgate ones, and I couldn't find one for the life of me. I'm like, damn, am I just that unlucky? Like I swear, I tried so hard. I was
it
like,
was weird because some of them I think just don't get the first pressing. Maybe
too fast.
it's really odd because yeah, I forgot which steelbook that was, but I was so surprised because it didn't have the first pressing there. Where you open it up, and I'm like, God, I just bought this. It's brand new, so I know this should have it, but it didn't. So it was kind of odd. But so many of the other Lionsgates do. They'll have that first pressing right there. So it's just, I don't know. It's odd. Sometimes they
I
do.
don't
Sometimes
I don't know
they
if
don't.
it's just I don't have a lot of Lionsgate Steelbooks or if I'm just unlucky. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just missing it. Who knows?
Maybe. Did you buy your Lionsgate steelbooks as soon as they came out, or did you wait a while? Because maybe there's like a second or third pressing where
Yeah, I'd
know.
have to like look at each Lionsgate one and like remember when I bought it, if it was like in like right when it came out or not, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's about it, man. I love, but it is fun. It's always fun just talking about movies and stuff. So any excuse to, whether it's you showing off steel books or collectibles or whatever, it's just fun talking about different films.
Yeah. I gotta do a Blu-ray haul video here soon. I haven't done one in a few months. So I only have like 10 things over there, but I haven't done one in a while.
Are you gonna show this bad boy off?
The House of Thousand Corpses? Is
Yeah,
that 4K or Steelbook?
this isn't it's actually a box. It opens up. This is really cool.
Oh,
Check that. It's a box set. It's a Blu-ray. It's not a 4K, but it's actually like a hard box, and it's got all this cool artwork on there. And then inside of it, I can do a little breakdown for you here. Inside of it, you get the Blu-ray, and inside the Blu-ray, you get some disc artwork. So you get the Blu-ray and the DVD. Or no, I'm sorry, you get the Blu-ray and then the special features. Apparently, there's a crap load of special features on that disc, so you get a lot of special features. And then you get a digital code, but I took it out already. You get a poster. This poster is badass too, man. You gotta take a look. Have you ever seen House of a Thousand Corpses? Rob
yeah,
Zombie,
I
House
did.
of a Thousand
Yeah.
Corpses.
It's one of the Rob Zombie movies I like more than his other ones. It might be my favorite one I've seen. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
good.
awesome.
Isn't that awesome, dude?
Yeah.
That's sick, man. Yeah, this is a really cool release. And then on top of that, it's kind of like an Arrow release, except for like it opens up like this. Like it's really cool. You know what I mean? Like how it
Yeah.
opens, not like yeah, it's different. It's like a box, and then you get like this thick book, with all this,
Information on
right
it. Or
here.
is it just pictures?
Oh no, I'm sure it's. Oh, you know what? You're right. It is all pictures. Oh, okay, that is cool. I thought there was going to be like stuff to actually read in there, but no, it looks like it's just like a bunch of set photos, I guess. Let me make sure there's no nudity on there. It's Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of like cast photos and stuff like that. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
then you
like
get
House of
some.
Thousand Corpses.
Yeah, it's a good one. A lot of people say it's probably his best film, either this or Devil's Rejects. And then you get some art cards. Got animated booty right there, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I just got
Yeah,
this.
I'd say I out of the Rob Zombie movies I've seen the Firefly trilogy, his two Halloween movies, and then the Munsters.
Mhm.
It's close between his first Halloween and House of a Thousand Corpses for me, for which one I like the best out of his movies.
Dude, that's a hot take right there. So you do like Rob Zombie's Halloween?
Yeah. I don't
That's a hot
love it,
dude.
but I
That
don't
is a
hate it.
really hot take. I'm telling you right now, because a lot of people shit on that movie. That's a hot take
Yeah.
already. You're already
Uh,
starting off strong.
yes. Yeah.
Was that on your list?
No, no, that
Okay.
wasn't on my list. No.
Yeah, dude,
No.
that's cool. No, that's cool. You know what? I think people are coming around to Rob Zombie's Halloween films now, though, a little bit. So, I don't think you're alone anymore.
Yeah. Well, I'm also not alone that I don't really like his second one, but I'm not on the train of thinking it's like eye-bleeding trash.
Yeah, like the worst thing you've ever seen. Like a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of
like,
people.
no, this isn't terrible, but it's not great. But yeah, so w as we kind of just discussed, we're going to share some controversial opinions tonight. So, Anthony, would you like to kick us off with one of your hot takes?
Yeah, man. Yeah, sure. Um, I've already talked about this movie kind of ad nauseum, but it is a hot take, and it's recent too. It's from last year, and it is a horror movie. And not all of mine are going to be horror movies. I know I'm the horror movie guy, but these aren't all going to be horror movies. But Barbarian, I like hate that movie. So I just cannot stand. I do not like the lead character. I think she's very unbelievable. I don't think any woman would act the way she acts in that situation.
They're
I
just
don't
walking
like.
into this creepy basement thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. She's in Detroit. I live in Michigan, by the way. You know what I mean? Like, there are areas like that she went to, obviously in Detroit, that are run down and whatever. And she just goes into the house with this weirdo looking guy. I mean, it's Skarsgård. He plays Pennywise as a clown, for Christ's sakes. He looks
Yeah.
weird. I mean, it's just, it's just creepy. You're going to go in there with Pennywise the clown. You know what I mean? Come on. I mean, this strange guy is like, yeah, sure. That just happens to also have a key to come, go into this place. He could have broke in or whatever. And now he's just waiting for you to do things to you. You know what I mean? Like, but then, sorry, spoilers for Barbarian, before I get too deep, but I kind of have to spoil it because
Yeah.
but when she goes investigating and, at first I give her credit because she's like, nope, like I'm not going into that room there, that dark hallway. But then literally a minute later she goes, so then it's like, come on, so she goes in the dark hallway. She's curious. Okay, fine. You're curious. Then she goes into the room that is clearly like,
Like a snuff film room or
a
something.
snuff film room. Exactly. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a bed with like blood on it. There's a bucket, presumably to pee and poo in. And then there's a camera to record all the horrific things that have gone in that room. And she's still like, oh, let me keep investigating down here. It's like, what? I'm a man. I'm not even, like, let alone a woman in this room. I'd be like hightailing it out of there. And I'd be calling the police immediately. Like, this is insane. But there's just so much stuff in that movie that I'm just like, I will say this. It's directed very well. Looks good. The cinematography looks good. The creature looks good. There's some cool kills in there. And I think the oh god, I just blanked on his. What's the guy's name that was in Jeepers Creepers?
Justin Long.
Justin Long. Yeah, Justin Long. I think Justin Long does a good job. I think
He's my favorite part of the movie when he's measuring the basement
he's
and
funny.
just
Yeah, he is funny. He's a good character. Like, I can't take that away. He is a good character. There are just so many decisions made by Tess, I believe is the final girl's name, Tess. There's just so many decisions made by her that's just like, I can't suspend disbelief that much. I mean, it's just too crazy because it's just even going into the house is crazy, let alone then exploring and finding all this crazy stuff. And, Skarsgård goes investigating, and then you just hear those screams into the distance, and then she keeps going into the dark, like, dungeon. She keeps going down, further down and down the stair. I'm like, dude. And I saw this film with my mom, actually, because she likes horror movies. She'll go and watch these horror movies, and she never does this, but she's looking over at me, and she's like, what? It's got, like, no woman would do this. Like, she's looking at me like, this is completely unbelievable, and I'm like, and that's a female perspective, so it's not just me, And there's some messaging in there, like you got some really stupid cops being like overly. It's like, cops aren't that dumb. They're not like that. guys. They would go and investigate. They would go get a warrant or something. They would go into that house. There's enough there to where they would. It's justified them going in there, or at least knocking on the door, seeing what's up. They make the cops out to be really stupid in the movie, which kind of bothers me. And there's a little bit of like, there's some other messaging in there, that bugs me too. You know what I mean? Like, she's giving him the whole thing. Like, this guy is nice enough to let you into the house, and then you're saying, oh, it's so hard being a woman and tough and this and that. But it's like, but he just let you in. You know what I mean? Like, you should be like thanking this guy like for being nice enough to let you into the house. He could have just kicked your ass out. Like, he had the key
into the rain. Yeah,
right, exactly. Like, like, who are you to give him a speech? He's nice enough to even let you in. Then she's remember when they're talking on the couch, and there's just so many, like, there's just too many things. And then another, I'm sorry because I'm going off on this movie, but then like when it gets to the homeless guy's scene, and the homeless guy is giving them the whole breakdown of what happened years ago and what the guy's been. I'm trying not to spoil, but what the guy's been doing to the women, taking them back to the house and all that. And I'm like, wait a minute, so you knew this was happening this whole time? The homeless guy knew it was happening this whole time, and you've done nothing to prevent it, dude. You're homeless. There's nothing even left to lose. I mean, like, you could have called the cops on this guy when he brought one of the women back and like unloaded her from the trunk. You could have went and like bashed the bad guy over the head while he was doing it and saved all these, countless women for being, you know what I mean? Like, getting taken advantage of and all this stuff and forced into that room. And, it's, I don't know. It just like, I'm like, God, these characters just don't make any sense. I mean, it's just like, because that guy, that homeless guy, especially, that he knew about it the whole time, dude. He broke down that he told them what that guy's been doing there for all those years, and he's just done nothing to stop it. That's crazy to me. I'm just like, I don't know. But what do you think of Barbarian? I'm done ripping on it. You go ahead and you tell me.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I like Barbarian. I had a good time with it in theaters. Then I watched it at home on HBO Max. Just one night, so I was just like, what do I feel like? I'm like, Barbarian. I like that in theaters. I wasn't one of those people that was like, this is like the greatest movie of 2022. I was like, no. There's certainly horror movies I thought were way better than Barbarian.
Yeah.
I wasn't that big of a fan of like the creature thing, whatever that was supposed to be.
It's probably my favorite character besides Justin Long, because I kind of just wanted the creature to kill everyone because I just didn't like anyone in there. So I'm just like, just kill them all. Honestly, like, I felt bad for the creature, like, I'm trying not to spoil it, but with everything that happens with the creature and everything, I'm like, God, I kind of feel bad for it. I'm kind of hoping the creature just kills everyone because they kind of have it coming in a way. But go on. If there's whatever.
I mean, like, the practical effects and stuff were good. There's certainly some tense sequences. Like you said, it's very well shot, very well made. I just wasn't on like the hype train for it, where like everyone was like, you gotta go see this. This is like the greatest horror movie of the year.
But that's like, what they were saying, right? You remember people saying that, right? I mean, this movie was very overhyped.
Mm-hmm. I saw this movie before like even any of those like reviews came out, like greatest horror movie year. I saw it before all that because I actually saw a trailer for it and I was like, yeah, this looks interesting. I was like, yeah, that was good. I had a good time. And then I like walked out of the theater and then I started seeing all the reviews of like greatest. I was like, what? Did I watch a different movie?
Right, exactly. Yeah. It was very overhyped. I mean, I only know 2 other reviewers that even gave it like a bad rating, like that didn't like it for the same reasons as me, basically. But everybody else just praised this movie, praised it, and I'm just like, oh my God, if I got to hear about that. And to be fair, I saw it the one time in theaters. It doesn't have a physical media release, so you can watch.
I was really surprised at that, considering like how much good reviews it got. I was really surprised it didn't get physical media, because I like it enough I would buy it and add it to my collection.
I would like to, eventually I'll get around to rewatching it.
Yeah.
Give it another chance, but it's gonna be an uphill battle. But I'll give it another shot. I'm not one of those guys that I can give movies second and third chances.
I always am willing to give a movie a second
Yeah.
chance. If I don't like it the first time, I'll 100% give it a second chance. I firmly believe in second chances. Maybe it's just my mood or whatever, but if I like watch a movie, I don't like it, and then like the rest of the world is like, yeah, this is bad. I'm like, okay, good. It's not just me.
Right.
But if it's like where we're talking about, where I'm like on the opposite end of the spectrum, and I watch it and I'm like, no, and then I rewatch and I'm still like, no. I'm like, okay, that's when I know it's one of these hot
Right.
takes we're talking about tonight.
Exactly. And I know it's not just me because I saw it with my mom and she felt like the same way. She made a lot of the same points I did before I even said them. So I'm like, okay, I know it's not just me. And she goes into movies more to have fun, have a good time. She's not looking at it like analytically or, you know what I mean? Like breaking it all down, like us, like, so we can go do a review of it later or whatever. You know what I mean? Like she's just having fun, but she wasn't having fun. You know what I mean? It was hard for her to
Yeah.
have fun because it's just a little too is just the character decisions. The writing really is what gets me. It's not the directing, it's not like the cinematography or the creature design or anything like that. It's really just the writing of the characters. You know that's what we didn't like. So, but what about you, man? What's your hot take?
What's one of mine?
Yeah.
Okay. Before I share this one, I wanna ask you a quick question. What year were you born, Mr. Anthony?
1986.
86. Wow, that is perfect because this movie came out in 86.
Mm.
I'm gonna talk about
Uh-oh.
the
Oh
first
my
Top
god,
Gun
dude, that's
movie.
on my list. That's on
Yeah,
my list.
yeah. Oh, maybe it's the same. Maybe we have the same opinion on it.
Yeah.
This movie, it's pure 80s cheese, and it's okay. I don't think it's like
I
one of
don't
the
like. No, I don't
greatest
like
movies
it
of the
either.
80s. Yeah,
That's
that's
so
awesome
funny
that we
you
both
have
had
that
that.
on there. That's hilarious. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, go ahead. Tell me
I
why.
have I have watched the first Top Gun 2 or 3 times. The first time I just watched it randomly, and then, um, when Top Gun: Maverick was coming out, people were like, "Yes, I can't wait for this. The sequel to one of the best movies of the '80s." And I was like, "What? People like that movie? Like,
Mm.
this is one of the most beloved movies of the '80s? If this is, like, one of the most beloved movies of the '80s, why did no one talk about it until Maverick came out?" But
Right.
anyways, and so I, like, rewatched it, and I'm just like, I don't I don't get where people are coming from. Like, maybe I can get the nostalgia piece of like, "Oh, yeah, I was there, saw it back in the day in 1986." Um, have been a lifelong fan because I was there, watched it, like, my whole life. Nostalgia is a very powerful thing. But for me, I'm just like, I don't get it. I just think it's a really cheesy '80s movie that has a really repetitive soundtrack and just yeah, I mean, I love the second one. I thought Top Gun: Maverick was great. I think it's significantly better than the first one on almost every single level. Um, but yeah, I just think that first one's pretty overrated, and I just think it's fine.
I completely agree. You know what it is, man? It's because um, even though I was born that year, but I didn't grow up with the film. Like I wasn't old enough to obviously, I mean, I was a baby, in '86, so I wasn't old enough. Like I didn't grow up with it. A lot of people that love that movie, it's because they grew up watching it and it was a big deal. Like that film actually got a lot of people to go and sign up for the Air Force. Like that was
Yeah,
almost like a recruitment video back then. Like a
there was like
ton of people signed up for
I
the
don't
Air
know if this is true, but there was something like
Force.
they had like Air Force recruitment tables like outside the theater after the
Yeah.
movie or
Oh,
something.
that's true, man.
Yeah,
They did. They got a lot of people because people were like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be the next
yes,
pilot, the next
I'm gonna be
Maverick.
Tom Cruise.
Let's
Tom
go,
Cruise.
yeah."
Yeah.
And yeah, but I feel the exact same way, man. I watched it. I actually watched it for the first time only like a few years ago, and I was just bored, man. I was bored to tears. I mean, I didn't realize that it was such a romance movie. It's more of a romance than even an action film. And I was just like, I didn't care. I didn't care about the romance between Tom Cruise and the lady. And um You know, I'm a big Tom Cruise fan. I really like Tom Cruise in a lot of his movies and stuff, but I just could
Yeah, I think he
not
makes good
get it.
movies.
But Maverick, I'm with you, dude. Maverick is awesome. That's a badass movie. I mean, I like
Yeah.
Maverick way more than Top Gun.
Oh, significantly. I'm
Yeah.
actually upset that I couldn't find the steelbook for Top Gun
Oh,
Maverick.
yeah.
Also,
I do
also
have
as
that.
much as I genuinely love Top Gun Maverick, think it's great. It was like the one movie last year where I was just like, I'm tired of hearing about this movie.
Yeah,
Just
everybody
like
was.
move on. Like
Yeah.
it's November, guys. Like we had like hundreds of new movies since May. Just talk about something else. It was like the one movie for me last year I just like was getting so irritated hearing about over and over and over again.
Yep.
Even though I thought it was an amazing film. I mean, I wasn't as high as everyone that's like greatest movie ever or whatever. I think I didn't even have it in my top 5 movies of last year. But I still think it's a great movie. I mean,
Yeah.
little overrated at some point. Some things I'm like,
You're right.
there's
You don't want
some
a movie to
flaws
get.
into it, but
Yeah,
it's
you don't
like
want a
I
movie
still
to.
think it's a really, really good movie.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because sometimes people hype movies up too much, and then when people watch them, like you show them to your friends or whatever, and then they're like kind of disappointed because they've been hyped up. You know, that happened with X, the movie X, you know, the horror movie. That people got so hyped up for that movie because everybody was coming out of the theater saying, "Oh, this is the best thing," and then people were leaving like, it was okay, it was a fun like slasher type movie. Yeah, exactly.
I
Like
had exact
because
reaction.
people built it up so much, man. I mean, I like X. I like X a lot, but people just built it up too much and it kind of ruined the experience, I think, for a lot of
Yeah.
people because you're not the
Like
only one that I've
like
heard
when
say
you
about
like
X.
when you cuz like the world premiere or something everyone's coming out like perfection,
Right,
greatest blockbuster ever made,
right,
instant favorite movie of all time. And so when you walk into a movie with those expectations of like this is going to be the greatest movie ever made, it can only
right.
go down from there. Like you can't surpass that.
Yeah. And I think X has a little bit more to say besides just being a slasher. I think it's shot very well. I think it's got a great soundtrack, a great score too. You know, I think the acting's really good. Some might argue it's a little slow to, to get going or whatever, but I'm fine with that. It's but it does have some stuff with like age, like growing old, getting older and like it's hard to get old because even though you get older, inside you still feel like a younger person sometimes. You know what I mean? You feel like it's hard seeing, like young sometimes it's hard seeing younger people because they're just starting their lives up and you're kind of like at that point in your life where you're settled down, you're not really doing much else, and it's you have a hard time even just getting up or doing anything, in their case having sex. You know what I mean, stuff like that. And it's frustrating getting older. I mean, look at your grandparents. It's not easy, and people oftentimes look at elderly people like they're a burden, and that just pisses them off even more because it's like, look, we're all going to get old someday, so do you want other people to look at you as a burden when you're at that age? Because it's going to happen to you too. You know what I mean? So it's sad. It's rough. I mean, I'm kind of going through that with my grandparents right now. They're 90 years old, and they've got a lot of health issues themselves. So, I get it. It's tough, but so there is a little bit more to X than I think people give it credit for. But I agree, it was very overhyped, and I think that hurt. I think that kind of it hurt people's expectations and everything when they were coming out of the theater. Like, God, that didn't really live up, to the expectations that everybody was saying was so great and everything. So yeah, I get it. That's a good
All
choice,
right.
Top Gun, though, man. That's so funny. I had that on my list. It's literally at the top. It's
Really?
at the top of my list, yeah. Because I feel like
Man.
people love that movie that grew up with it. They love it.
Like I can get the nostalgia piece to it. I 100% acknowledge that nostalgia is very powerful. Like there are movies I love that I can look at and be like, yeah, that's not a very good movie, but I still love it because I've watched it forever. But just like as a movie, I'm just like, did you know that the first Top Gun won an Oscar? You
Oh
know, it's an
wow, really? For
Oscar-winning
what?
movie
For
for
what movie?
like best original song, I believe.
Oh, the Danger Zone song?
I think either that or Take My Breath Away. I mean, you have two songs to pick out of the soundtrack, so.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, take my breath. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's cool. No, that's cool, man. I mean, look, I get it. I know people. My buddy Alan from Pop's Movie Dungeon, he loves Top Gun. He grew up with it. It's funny. This actually got brought up on a past live stream because somebody said, like, oh, what's a movie that you don't really like that everybody else loves, and that was the one that came to my head. And then Pops, he muted my mic as soon as I said Top Gun. He's like, oh, no, there'll be no blaspheming, Top Gun, because he loves that film, but he grew up with it, so it makes sense. Like, he saw it at the right age, so it's got that built-in nostalgia. It doesn't have that for me or you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's funny. Great choice, man. Choice.
What is your next one?
So my next one here, I'm going to go out of horror for a minute here, and then you brought up action, so let's go to animation. All right, now I'm a big Pixar guy. I love The Incredibles. I love the Toy Story trilogy. Fourth one doesn't exist. I love the Toy Story. The first three Toy Story films. Monsters Incorporated is great. But this movie, which a lot of people love, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say anything bad about this movie, but I'm going to. And that's Inside Out.
You don't like Inside Out?
I did not like Inside Out, man. I remember seeing this in theaters, and I was just like, I just came out of it. It was one of the first times I had ever come out of a Pixar movie, and I was like, God, that was like so underwhelming. I was just like, it was kind of boring, and I get it. I like the idea. I think it's a good like concept. I like the like your emotions are driving you and all this stuff, but there's no villain in the movie, so there's like no one to root against. It's just her emotions and all the stuff she's going through, and I didn't find it that funny. I think the only scene that people really remember from the movie is the imaginary friend character, that gets launched off into space or whatever. She has to leave, her imaginary friend behind or whatever, and that's the tearjerker scene, and that scene is really powerful. It is sad, you know what I mean, because we can all relate to it. But that's like the only scene, if you ever ask anyone about this film, that they bring up. That is the scene every time. And I'm just like, the rest of the movie is just kind of, for me, it was just so forgettable. I just didn't really care for anger or joy or sadness or any of the characters in it. And I was just kind of bored throughout it. I couldn't get into it, And like I said, I named off all those other Pixar movies. I love Pixar. I love a lot of their stuff. But this movie, it wasn't doing it for me, man. And I think it's a mistake not having a villain in there. I understand what they were going for, but I think it was kind of a mistake because it was just, there's no one to, root against or anything. I mean, it's just kind of, I don't know. It's just, I just didn't really care for this one. What about you? You love Inside Out because you probably grew up with it?
No. The Pixar movies I grew up with were The Incredibles mainly. So that's I'm pretty sure that's my uncle's favorite movie of all time. So like in our family, that's a pretty popular one. Yeah, I grew up with that one. Is Ratatouille Pixar?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, Ratatouille. Those are like the only Pixar movies I had like access to all the time. So those are the two I watched all the time. When Inside Out came out, it was kind of like when I started losing interest in animated films, where I'm like, yes, a new Pixar movie, and I'd get like excited for it or whatever. And now I'm like to the point where it's just like cool animated movie. I might see it if I have free time, if I feel like, if I'm bored. It's just not my thing anymore. But Inside Out, yeah, I liked it. I wouldn't say it's top tier Pixar. Yeah, I haven't seen all the Pixar movies either.
A lot of people do think that. I'm telling you, you go watch reviews on Inside Out, man. People love that movie. It's a real that's why I brought it up, because I'm like, people just love that damn movie. They really do.
Yeah. I'd still say I like all the Toy Story movies better than it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Even the fourth.
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'd probably put The Incredibles and Ratatouille over it too. Oh, Wally. I also watched Wally a bunch. Probably put all of those over it. Um, yeah, I didn't think it was like this mind-blowing animated movie. I thought it was an interesting concept. But yeah, I've literally only heard like this is the greatest animated movie ever.
Oh my
Like
god, dude.
greatest Pixar movie ever.
I'm glad you're with me on that. I mean, I'm glad that you understand kind of where I'm coming from because it's like, it's just, it's not. I guess maybe maybe I guess for some people it just hits a certain way because it's dealing with that stuff. I can't. I just couldn't really relate to it, even though we all go through emotions. I understand it, so you would think it would relate to everyone, but I wasn't connecting with it. I really wasn't. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's no.
So what I'm hearing you say is that Inside Out 2 is your most anticipated movie for the
Are they
next few
making a
years?
second one?
Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh, no. I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
So you'll be there day one, IMAX, 3D, all that fun
God
jazz.
no.
Go to like the early fan event, try to get press screenings, all that stuff. Yeah.
God no. Oh man. So what about you? What's your next one?
My next one is going to be that I think this trilogy here is
Uh-oh.
really overhated. The Hobbit trilogy.
Oh, the
I,
Hobbit trilogy.
I
Okay.
think it's
Yeah.
pretty. I think it's overhated. Is it as good as Lord of the Rings? No, but I mean, when you're when you're when you're trying to compare it to like one of the best trilogies ever made, it's like, of course, it's not gonna be as good. But people just like crapping on the Hobbit movies, just like, oh, these are just so boring. They're so much unnecessary stuff in them. I'm just like, it. I just have a lot of fun with these Middle Earth stories. I just like all the fight scenes in these movies. They're a lot of fun. Like one of the big criticisms for the third Hobbit movie is like it's just like a really long Middle Earth action sequence. That's all it is just battles. It's like, yeah, but I really like that stuff.
Mhm.
I just really like all the Hobbit movies, and I don't understand where people are coming from. Like these are like a terrible, terrible trilogy. Tarnishes the name of Lord of the Rings. I'm like, what? I don't understand where you're coming from on that. So, what do you think about the Hobbit movies?
Yeah, I saw these in theaters. I saw all three of them in theaters. And I like the first one a lot. I think it's solid. Then I think the second one was pretty good. Still doing pretty good. But then that third one is where you lose me. And I think that's the one that loses a lot of people because it kind of I guess it wasn't the direction I wanted it to go in. I didn't because the battle at the end, it's not the battle, it's just the way that it's done. It's the way that like you've got like these giant hawks dropping off like other creatures onto people, and you got these like goats or whatever going up this mountain and all this stuff. And it almost felt a little like too cartoonish at times, whereas like the original trilogy of Lord of the Rings, like the battles always felt epic and grandiose and just more grittier, more real, like a lot of stakes to them. And this battle, it was also shot during the daytime too, so that was kind of interesting. You know what I mean? It was so bright, and the sun was out and all this stuff, and then you have all these creatures like I said, like giant hawks and all this stuff coming down. It I don't know, I couldn't connect with it. It was almost just a little too much with that. I would have liked to have I almost kind of wish the entire story was just about the dragon. I just wanted more of the dragon,
That was
just give me
smog.
more, let the dragon be. And I get it, they're going off the books, right? So I understand, like, but I
You
just
have
kind of
certain
wanted.
confinements
Yeah, I just
to.
wanted that dragon to be, because it was such a badass, because like the cliffhanger was like the dragon like flying into town, right? And you're like,
Hmm.
oh shit, this is gonna be amazing, and then they kind of just settle up with the dragon kind of fast, and then it just moves into like another thing, and I'm like, God, dude, I just kind of wanted that dragon to be the main thing. I really wanted it to be more, you know. What they use to kill black arrows? Is that what they're called? Black arrows, right? Or dark arrows, or something like that. I
Black
think,
arrows.
I think they were called black arrows, yeah, because the dragon's like the black arrows, you know, and that amazing voice and everything. I just wanted more of that. I did. It was so epic. It was so cool too. I mean, the dragon looked amazing. I loved it. You know, I'd love to have a statue of that. The voice work was great. And That's Doctor Strange doing the voice,
Yeah,
right?
Benedict
But
Cumberbatch.
Benedict
He also did the motion capture for it too.
Yeah, dude, it's amazing. That voice is perfect for that. I love it when he's down there and he's just swimming in the gold and all that stuff. And it's like, God, it's just I love all of that stuff. It's just kind of when they get to that final battle and they go away from the dragon thing. That's where it loses me. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will admit that the third one, Battle of the Five Armies, is the weakest out of that trilogy.
Mm.
I certainly think it's the weakest, but I just have a fun time with it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like all these movies. Like, there was just one day,
I don't hate them.
probably like 3 weeks ago, I just had like a full day where I was just like, I have nothing to do. I just want to be lazy all day. And I'm like, I'm gonna binge all the Hobbit movies. So I sat down and just watched all 3 Hobbit movies, all the extended versions of them too. So that was a long day. I was just like, I just have so much fun with these. Like, yeah.
No,
And
no, yeah.
I've really just heard like really negative things about them, and just like, what? I don't think they're terrible.
I'm with you, man. No, I actually think the first two are pretty good. I think they're pretty fun. The third one loses me, but I think the first two are pretty fun. Yeah, you get some cool stuff, and you get like a cameo from Gollum in there as well. Yeah, I mean, it's just fun. I like the characters. I think they're cool. And you get some good stories with them and everything. And I like their journey to the castle and all that. I mean, I think it's fun.
The action sequence of them like escaping the goblin tunnels where they're like running and just like that is like one of my all-time favorite action sequences. That is badass.
Yeah, dude, that's fine.
Like the music cues with it is just amazing, I think.
That's where Gollum was, right? Wasn't he like
in the goblin tunnels? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And because doesn't he have the sword that starts to turn blue? Doesn't he have that on him? I forgot what the guy's name is.
Sting.
Doesn't he have that sword that turns blue?
Yeah,
that? He has that, right? Because it turns blue for when there's goblins or orcs, I believe, right? Or I believe it's like those two things, when they're close by or something. But yeah, no, all of that was good. That was all a lot of fun. You're right. That goblin scene is awesome. Yeah. No, you get a lot of good stuff in there, man. That's a good one.
What's your next one?
All right, let's see. Where do we want to go next? I guess we'll talk about this is just a person.
Like a character or just like an actor?
No, it's a person. It's an actor that I just don't like, and I think he's really overrated, and I just do not like him, and that's John Cena.
John Cena, no.
I don't like John Cena. I know. I do not like John Cena, dude. I don't. Every time I just get caught. And it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to separate him like out of character, like him as a real person, and then him in the character too. I kind of just want to smack the shit out of him every time I see him. He's just got one of those faces, and and I'm sure people are saying that about me right now. Screw you, Anthony. But he's just got like, I don't think he's a very good actor. I thought he was fine as Peacemaker, but spoilers for Suicide Squad if you haven't seen that one, but when he kills Flag, Rick Flag, God, dude, that was just I wanted Rick Flag to kick the shit out of him. I really wanted him to, and he does. It's a good fight. It's a good battle, but I wanted Flag to just kill him. Yeah, I mean, he just his other, he was in like The Marine, which I didn't care for that. That was one of his earlier films, and it's just not good acting, and I think God, he's just done. I've seen like, quite a few of his movies, and I just don't like him. Oh God, he was in Daddy's Home 2 or whatever. I'm like, oh my God. He was in Cock Blockers was another one. I don't
Um,
like him as an actor. I like, and it's not the fact that he's a wrestler. Like I like Dave Bautista. I think Dave Bautista is a really good actor. I like The Rock fine. It's just there's something about John Cena. I just don't like him, and I just don't like it. It taints the movie. It really does. It taints the movies, because Cock Blockers is kind of a funny movie, but he annoys me. And then in Suicide Squad is is good too. It's a solid movie, but he just annoys me. You know what I mean? So every time I see him, I'm just like, God, somebody kill him off for the love of God. So yeah, I'm not a big John Cena fan, but I know a lot of people that love John Cena, especially because of his wrestling work and his career and they like his movies and they like his show Peacemaker and stuff like that. So I just don't get him. It's not my vibe. I just don't. But you seem to really like John Cena because I could tell when I said that like just like
yeah,
fear through the heart.
yeah, it was so sad.
I'm sorry, man. I'm
I
sorry.
literally on my desk over there I have the John Cena Funko Pop.
Oh no. Just do me a favor, just knock it off.
I've never watched like wrestling or anything. I've just seen him in movies and whatever, and then of course like all the John Cena memes and whatever. But I remember first seeing John Cena when he was in the Fred movies. Like if you remember like what those were, like
Fred?
Fred the
The hell's
movie.
Fred? No, what is that?
It's like there were like 3 movies. It was like I don't remember how to describe it. If you look it up, you might be able to see. But he played like the guy's dad in those movies. So I remember that. That's like a long time ago. Like
Okay, so you
probably like
kind of have some
2020.
like built-in memories with him,
Yeah, of like
Yeah.
when he first started getting into acting, and then just I don't know, just like I really like the movies he's in, and just his brand of humor works for me, I guess. Like Blockers, I think is hilarious, and just like the
Yeah.
character he plays, I think is funny. I think I'm gonna be a total contrary to what you said. I think he is amazing as Peacemaker. That just like fits his personality. So I
Well,
really,
you're
I
right. That kind of douchey, kind of whatever type, kind of like, overly tough guy, whatever kind of. There's something about it that just rubs me the wrong way.
yeah. So I thought he was great in the Suicide Squad. I like the character of Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad. I absolutely loved the show Peacemaker. That was probably my favorite show of last year. Um, Definitely my favorite superhero show I've watched. I think it is better than any of the Disney Plus MCU shows we've gotten by a landslide.
Yeah, because it's
Um,
more adult. It's more of like an adult show, like
yeah,
instead of
and
trying to be
just
kitty and kind of tie into 8 million different things and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
get that for sure. Yeah,
and it's just like I don't know. I just like
you
he's
like
just
him?
like one of those people that I just like seeing in things, and like oh, if I like see that he's attached to a project, I'll be like, oh, cool, John Cena's in that. I want to go check that out.
Oh
Like
God, he's
like 2 years ago, he was in F9. I had never seen any Fast and the Furious movie before. And so I watched all the Fast and the Furious movies to go see F9.
yep.
And the only reason I went to go see F9 is because, like, oh, John Cena's in this. I kind of like what he does sometimes.
Yep. I was just about to bring up F9. That's funny. Okay, I was just about to
Even
bring
though
that.
F9 wasn't that good of a movie.
No, you know what it is, man. It's not. It's so unrealistic now. Like the first like few Fast and the Furious movies they were still somewhat grounded in
How did
reality.
we go from street racing to driving a car in space? Like,
I know,
how do you
man.
do that?
I'll never forget like when Dom's buddy is like on that semi truck and is arms all wrapped up in wire and there's blood coming down, and he's trying to get to his buddy and unwrap his arm from the wire while driving like a car, and the guy in the semi truck is like shooting like with a shotgun, trying to kill it because they're trying to rob the semi truck, and this truck driver's got a shotgun, and it was such a well choreographed, well done like action scene while they're you got the semi truck and the cars all like going, and it was so simple. It wasn't like this over the top, overly dramatic, crazy, like going into space, doing all this crazy shit. It was just so simple, and it worked very well. And there were stakes too, because you're like, man, I didn't want to see that character get killed. I didn't want to see anyone else get hurt. And I was worried, like, guys, this whole arm just going to get ripped off, because it was brutal. I don't know if you remember that scene in the original Fast and Furious, but, when his arm's all wrapped up in that wire and he can't cut loose from the semi, it's like, man, some good, like, tension there and everything. But now they're too crazy. They're way too out there now,
So, yeah, I have to hard disagree with you on that one.
I'm saying it's good. That was a good back and forth, because you strongly disagreed with me there, so that worked out well, and I'm glad, because I'm glad there's someone to kind of defend John Cena, when I'm tearing him down. So it's good to have both.
Have you ever seen him like do interviews on talk shows or stuff? Like I've seen him like on Jimmy Kimmel before. Have you ever seen him like watch?
Yeah, I've seen him do some. Yeah,
he seems like a pretty fun guy to hang around. I don't know. He just
I just want to slap him. No, I get it, man. He might be. I don't know. He just kind of rubs me the wrong way, and it's weird. I know it's funny because I have like a person on my list. I knew that would be funny, so I was like, okay, this will be different, because I doubt you have just a person on your list. So I thought that was kind of funny.
No,
but yeah, what about you? What's your next one?
My next one is going to be in regards to, I kind of did what you did last time with the horror ones. I pulled all this stuff out, so I thought that was cool. In regard to Spider-Man movies here.
Sorry, we got Zach in the comments. If you wanted to read that comment off really quick, I just got an alert. So,
what's going on, fellas? Hello, Zach.
What's up, Zach?
We're talking about unpopular things.
Zach, leave some of your hot takes down below, man. It'd be fun to hear other people's hot takes.
Yeah. We'll read them and respond to them. Maybe make fun of you. Maybe agree to them.
Exactly. Could go either way. All right, sorry, but I didn't want to cut you off.
No, you're fine. So in regards to these Spider-Man movies, strictly Spider-Man movies, no like those Spider-Man spinoffs, we need to talk about the Venom movies or Morbius.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a bad movie here. I really enjoy the two ones that I'll get in trouble for saying I like are Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Those are what most people consider to be like the worst Spider-Man movies. If we're just like strictly Spider-Man. I really like both of those movies. For the longest time, I stayed away from the Amazing Spider-Man movies because I just heard that, these aren't good. These aren't good Spider-Man movies. So I didn't watch them for a very long time. And I finally watched them. I'm like, I actually really enjoyed both of these movies. And not necessarily the same with the Sam Raimi trilogy. I just watched them and I was like, yeah, these are all good. I really like all of these. And then I learned that people didn't like Spider-Man 3, and I was like, whoa. So yeah, I've always thought every Spider-Man movie has been good.
I think we got some more comments here.
Venom and Spider-Man 3 is better than Tom Hardy's Venom movie. Ooh,
okay.
That's a hot one. I wouldn't agree with that.
And then he prefers the Amazing Spider-Man 2 over the first. Very interesting. Yeah, you know what's funny? I don't know. I'm kind of with you a little bit, because even though Tom Hardy is a great actor, I think Topher Grace, I believe is his name, that played Venom in Spider-Man 3. He kind of brought like this sinister, like mean spirit. I know he kind of looked like he's this super scrawny, whatever guy,
but he just doesn't look like Venom.
He's not a tough guy. He's not like big and bulky like Tom Hardy. But I kind of like that because he's he's like the opposite of what Venom is, right? Like he's kind of like this weak, sniveling, like always trying to like cheat to get ahead kind of a guy,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Taking credit for what Peter Parker's doing. And then he gets this suit and it makes him strong and he thinks he's invincible and he's still got that cocky attitude or whatever. I kind of like that because Tom Hardy, I mean, he's a little bland. You know what I mean? I kind of wish he would bring a little bit more something to the role. You know what I mean? Like Venom's funny, but I feel like Tom Hardy's kind of just not doing enough for me personally. But in regards to the Spider-Man movies, I'm with you actually, dude. I really like Amazing Spider-Man 2, and that's the one that gets like dunked on the
It's like,
most.
you're
And
like,
I think that entire third act sequence in Amazing Spider-Man 2 is one of the best third acts, like one of the best finales to any of the Spider-Man films. Like when spoiler alerts, if you haven't seen Amazing Spider-Man 2, because this is a big spoiler, but when Gwen Stacy dies at the end, dude, that was like, I mean, it was brutal. I mean, he shoots the web out, and you get that little like web hand,
and it's like
and you're
going in
like,
super slow
and it's
motion
and
too.
it's building up the tension, and you just see it go through like the gears and all that, the little web hand, and then it gets her, and you're like, oh, whew. And then you just hear her head crack on the ground like super hard. You can like audibly, you can hear that, like especially when you're at the theater and the surround sounds kicking in, you just hear this like crack when her head hits the ground. And that is one of the most heartbreaking scenes, one of the saddest scenes in any Spider-Man film, and he sells it. Andrew Garfield sells that scene so well. What a great actor, man. Andrew Garfield's just so
He's a
him.
fantastic actor. I think as an actor, just
Yeah.
like your acting capabilities, I think he's the best actor to portray Spider-Man.
Yeah, I would agree. I think he does because he's got such a range of emotions. Like he's funny, he's kind of quirky, he's kind of nerdy, and then he can bring those tears, man. He makes that, like, he's got a great crying face, when he's really sad and heartbroken. It's just perfect. And I'm like, God, that's one of the greatest scenes out of all the Spider-Man films, in my opinion. I think that
One of
was
the most emotional
one
scenes
of the
for
most
sure.
emotional. I mean, I just loved the way the whole thing was shot. I loved him fighting Electro and doing all that stuff. I thought that was great. I love the music, that music that's kicking in and everything when he's battling Electro. And then, the Green Goblin shows up, and it is rushed. The Green Goblin stuff does feel kind of rushed, but it was a good fight scene, man. I liked it. And the guy's like, he's got that like those like black teeth and they're
The
sharp, and
fangs,
like it's
yeah.
gross. He looks so. And talk about another transformation scene when he's turning into the Green Goblin. You remember? And it's like his bones are all cracking and his nails are getting sharper and his teeth are getting sharper. His fangs are coming out.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, that's like a horror movie. It was probably why I like it so much because this is just so brutal. No, I think Amazing Spider-Man 2 is very underrated. I think
Yeah.
that's actually, people always get hung up on the Russian guy who plays Rhino or whatever at the beginning of the movie.
Like,
It's like, oh, it's
he's
so
in the
goofy.
movie for
Wait,
5 minutes.
he's in like 5 minutes of the movie. I'm
Yeah,
like, what, you're gonna throw the whole
exactly.
movie away because of that? And they're like, oh, Electro's goofy, whatever. He's like, I'm like, dude, I don't know. That kind of takes me back. Like the way Jamie Foxx was portraying Electro when he was like the nerdy scientist guy, or the nerdy like engineer guy or whatever, kind of harkened back to like old school like 1989 Batman, like or Batman Returns, kind of like those kind of villains that they're kind of like a
Like
little
a
funny.
Catwoman.
Yeah, and you kind of feel bad for them or whatever, and then like obviously something happens and then they change, but it reminded me of those old school like superhero films, kind of like paying homage to that a little bit. But then when he turns into Electro, dude, he's a badass. I mean, he's cool. When he's got the hoodie on and
In Times Square.
yeah, and Peter
Mm.
Parker's just like, come on, man, no, we can work it. It's all good. And he's like this close to being like, yeah, you know what, you're right. And then he gets that voice in his head. And he's like, they're making fun of you. They're talking about you. They think you're stupid. And he goes, dude, that's like some real shit. People get that. You know what I mean? And then he just like throws that lightning up and tries to kill. I mean, I could go on and on about Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think it's really underrated.
Yeah. The only thing,
Yeah.
one of the big things that bothers me about that movie, and it's not the movie's fault, is that when you get to the end and it starts teasing where it's going later on with like all these different things, like walk past that hallway, you got the vulture wings, the Doc Ock arms,
Yep.
you're like, oh, this would be cool. And then watching it now, knowing that that's never going to happen, it's just like, come on. So,
Yep.
I prefer Amazing Spider-Man 2 over the first. I'd still say I prefer the first Amazing Spider-Man movie over Amazing Spider-Man 2, but yeah, I like both of them. I don't like the way the origin was told very much in the first. Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone saved the movie. They're definitely the best part of those two movies. I think
Yeah.
Emma Stone is a great actress.
Yes. Yeah, she is. She's perfect as Gwen Stacy too, man. She was their chemistry spot on. I mean, that's so good. I love their chemistry in those movies.
The motivation for Venom and Eddie as well. Yeah, it's kind of like a weird bromance in Venom instead of like, yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
I like the first Venom. I'm not a big fan of the second Venom movie, so I just think the first Venom's okay, like an okay comic.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
Still very flawed. Yeah, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 certainly has its flaws. Same with Spider-Man 3. I'm not saying they're like amazing. I'm just saying they're better than people give them credit for, and I don't think they're terrible.
Yeah,
right? I think they're good. I think they still have flaws. I still see some of these flaws people say, but it doesn't bother me as much as I guess it does other people. Amazing Spider-Man 2 captures the spirit of a Spider-Man movie a little better than the first as well, in my opinion.
Over the first yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man.
With Tobey Maguire. Oh wait, no, Amazing Spider-Man.
I think it's the Amazing Spider-Man
of a Spider-Man movie a little bit better than the first as well, in my opinion. Oh, okay, yeah, I got you. Over the first Amazing Spider-Man movie. Okay, yeah. Yeah, because you know what it's like you were saying, kind of. It's like you get the origin story kind of out of the way, and now you can kind of
have full Spider-Man movie,
right? Yeah, so I get that. Yeah,
I'm gonna disagree with that. I like getting the origin of Spider-Man and like seeing him tinker and figure everything out more in the first one. I like seeing all that stuff. So
I do like seeing him build the web shooters. I love that.
Yeah.
That was so good. I love seeing him actually build the web shooters. Yeah.
Gwen's death was tragic, and Andrew sells that scene so hard. This is true.
Yep. 100%.
What happened to Dane DeHaan? I liked him. That's the guy who played Green Goblin. I haven't seen him in like anything. Supposedly he's going to be in Oppenheimer, the Christopher Nolan movie this year.
That's cool. He's a good actor, dude. I think he's actually a good actor. He just he doesn't pick the best movies, because every movie he picks, they just don't. He gets put in some like expensive movies, and then they just don't go well. But I don't think it's his performance. I just think people just don't respond to the films that he's in as much. Like the film itself, not so much like his performance. It's just kind of unfortunate for him.
Yeah, I thought he was. Also, like, part of the thing with him as Green Goblin is, like, you're trying to do a Green Goblin after Willem Dafoe perfected it. Like,
yeah, that's
so
tough.
he's got big shoes to live up to, or a big name to live up to, big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
So
it's like Joaquin Phoenix having to live up to Heath Ledger. It's like, oh boy,
like,
and I think he did a great job.
You just want an Oscar for your performance as Joker.
Yeah.
Doesn't even come close to Heath Ledger. Like, Heath Ledger is like top tier movie villains, like best movie villains of all time.
Yeah.
Like, not just superhero villains, just like movie villains, movie characters. It's just like, it's like one of those defining performances for, I don't know, a generation of people. Just like one of those things that people will always remember.
Yeah,
Heath Ledger for.
No, I completely agree, man. He'll be forever remembered for that performance. Absolutely,
and well deserved. He is.
Oh yeah,
fucking incredible.
Yep, I agree.
All right, what's your next one?
So my next one, so this one will be a little bit more positive. I mean, it's a hot take, but it's kind of going the other direction, like where I'm like, oh, I'm really positive about this movie. But people, you're you're not gonna like the. So like, I think now this is a horror movie, a classic horror film everyone loves, and pretty much universally everyone would say the original is the best, and the remake, no, and it can't touch the original. But I grew up with the remake, and I also saw the original as well when I was younger or whatever. But I've always loved the remake, and that is, I think, for me anyway, I think the Night of the Living Dead remake is better than Night of the Living Dead, the original, from the 60s. Yeah, I think Night of the Living Dead remake, directed by Tom Savini. I prefer it, man. I think Tony Todd does an amazing job, as the lead character. I love Tony Todd's performance in that film. I think the lady who plays Barbara, who's actually like a stunt woman, it's kind of funny, and she just got casted into that role or whatever. But I love that in the remake, she's super scared at first, and her brother just died and all this stuff, and you have that whole opening, at the funeral and everything, and she's running away from her brother who just got turned into a zombie, and she's scared out of her mind. She goes to the house, she meets Tony Todd's character, and he's like, "Snap out of it, woman. You gotta listen. This is what we gotta do to survive." And da 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 da. She still doesn't get it at first, but then about halfway through the movie, bless you, about halfway through the movie, she's like, you know what? Fuck this. And, she becomes a badass, man. She picks up the gun, she gets herself another gun, and she just starts blasting away at these zombies, and she just becomes a completely different character. Whereas in the original Night of the Living Dead, the black and white version, she's kind of catatonic the entire time. There's really not much to her character. She just kind of like zones out the entire time, And I love what a badass in the remake she turns into. She starts out very frightened, but then, by the end of it, she's just tough as nails, probably tougher than everyone else in there, And I just love I love her story. I think Tony Todd's excellent. The guy that plays like the dickhead character or whatever, I think you just want to just smack him. He's so good at playing that role. He's almost too good at it because you just hate him the whole time. Where he's trying to take the television set down into the basement and all that stuff. And Tony Todd's like, no, you're going to keep the TV up here. And they argue and they end up breaking it. I mean, there's just so much, them going to the gas station, and then they don't actually have the key. They brought the wrong key. It doesn't unlock the thing. So then they shoot it and it explodes. And I mean, Tom Savini himself will tell you what a shit show it was, making this movie, how everybody was down his throat about, you can't do this, you can't do that. The MPAA was all over him. They're like, cut this, cut that out of the movie. Too much blood. You can't show that. Too much gore. Cut it out. And he said it was just such a miserable experience. He's just done directing. He didn't want to direct ever again. He hated it. But even with everything, even with all those flaws and all that, and the MPAA kind of neutering it and all that stuff, I still think it's just an amazing film, and it just doesn't get enough love. I think it's a great remake, and I think 98% of people would say that the original obviously is a classic, and of course it is. But I don't think they'd ever say that they like the remake over the original. But I do. I prefer the remake. I think I just, mainly, and I think a big part of that, it's Tony Todd's performance, Tom Savini's directing. I think he does a good job. But Barbara, that character, Barbara, man, I think she's so much better in the remake. I really do. What do you think?
Unfortunately, I haven't seen either of these movies, so I don't have the ability to comment on this. Main reason why I haven't seen either of these movies, I'm not huge into zombie movies. There's very few zombie movies I watch, so it's not like something I'm rushing out to see. I'm sure eventually I'll watch the Night of the Living Dead whole series because there's like a ton of them.
Yeah.
But I totally get liking the remake more than the original. I mean, there's
love
plenty of horror
it.
franchises
Yeah.
that, that like Evil Dead remake I love more than the original. Friday the 13th remake I love more than the original. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, not horror but The Magnificent Seven. Like there's plenty of remakes that I think are better than that original film. So, and I know that's always like whenever you say that you think a remake's better than the original, you're always gonna get that one person that's like, come on, it's the original, it's God. Like
Right.
nothing can ever surpass this. And sometimes for a franchise that is true. Sometimes that's true where nothing will ever surpass the original. But
And don't get me wrong, I own the the Criterion release for Night of the Living Dead from the 60s. I was trying to find it's back here somewhere, but I own of course I mean, and I love the original. I mean, it's great, obviously, and it had it's good, really solid story, and it's even got a little bit of a message in there at the. I won't spoil that, but it's got a message in there kind of towards the end. And Yeah, I mean it's fantastic. I mean, what can you say? I mean, yeah, the of course, George A. Romero. I mean, he's fantastic. I mean, I love Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. Even Land of the Dead. You know what I mean?
Dawn
It's
of
a
the
lot.
Dead. I haven't seen any of the Dead movies. I
Mhm.
love Dawn of the Dead, the Zack Snyder one. I
I
think that's a
love. Yeah, it's
great
great.
zombie movie.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have no I have no way to compare it to the original Dawn of the Dead, but that I love that movie and I love the two Zombieland movies. Those are like my top 3 zombie movies. That the
yeah.
Criterion one?
This is Dawn of the Dead. This is a second sight release. This is really so this is a 4K. There's 3 4K discs, different cuts of the film, and then there's a Blu-ray with extras. This is basically the easiest way to watch this film and have all of its different iterations as well. Um, because there's no like well, I think there is an American Blu-ray, but it's super expensive. And then there's like the DVD, which you can get cheaper. But yeah, I definitely highly recommend the Dawn of the Dead second sight release because, like I said, you got all these. There's an Argento cut of the film, the famous Italian giallo director. He did his own cut of the film, and then Romero obviously has his cut, and then there's another cut in there, a Cannes cut or whatever, um, and it's got a bunch of extras. So yeah, really,
That
really,
that
really solid release.
that Romero of the Dead franchise, that would be a good one to get like for Scream Factory do like a box set of because aren't there like 6 or 7 of them? Like of the Dead, something of the Dead by
Oh,
George A. Romero.
there's a ton of them. Yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah. I
that
think
would
the
be a great
problem
box
is
set for him.
getting some of the licensing to like that Dawn of the Dead. That's a UK release that I just showed. That's what Second Sight is. It's a UK company.
Mhm.
Um, so if you really want the best edition, you have to order it out of the country. Basically, you have to get that. So um, you'll need a 4K player or whatever, obviously, to watch them because they're all 4K, discs and everything. So there is a Blu-ray version. You can get the Blu-ray version that's all Blu-ray discs, but then you need a region-free player to watch them because they're coming from the UK. So, they're region B locked. So that's So if
I've
you,
actually I've actually looked into getting like a different region Blu-ray player because I have some
yeah,
stuff that's like from different regions and I can't play it in my player. I'm like,
right.
man. So and
So
like, well, that would like expand my ability to get things that are
absolutely.
like really hard to get if I just have a different player. Because that wouldn't bother me having another player. But
Yeah, and
whatever.
if you wait until like Black Friday, you can probably get one for a good deal too.
Yeah, for
So,
cheap. I
yeah.
mean, players aren't that expensive. Blu-ray players are like $50 or something. They're
Yeah,
not too
no, yeah,
terrible.
they're not crazy. The region free players, you can get cheaper ones or whatever, but some of them can be a little bit more pricey too. It just depends on which one you go for. But yeah, but like I said, if you wait for like a Black Friday or something like that, you can get one, a good one for a good deal too. So what
Oh,
is next on your list, sir?
next one. This one, my next 4, these are
Uh
the last 4 I have. I think they're all pretty controversial, my next 4.
oh,
So,
getting it spicy.
we'll start off with 1994, the big 3 of 1994, right? Right? there's always like the debate which one of these three movies is the best, right? Um, Personally, I think Shawshank Redemption is easily the best. I mean, wearing a Shawshank shirt today.
Mm-hmm.
This is like in competition for my favorite movie of all time. I think if I had to make an argument for a movie being objectively perfect, I think The Shawshank Redemption is like the most perfect movie ever. And I'll argue that with people like you don't think this movie's perfect, you're wrong. But I don't think
Yeah.
that's hot. That I don't think that's that hot of a take. Loving The Shawshank Redemption, like it's the
No, no.
highest rated movie on IMDb. Like, come
Right?
on.
Yeah, people love it.
Pulp Fiction in like my top 10 favorite movies of all time. One of my favorite Tarantino movies. Um, and then we have Forrest Gump here.
Uh-oh.
I think I think Forrest Gump is really good,
Yeah.
but on Letterboxd I have it at a 4 out of 5 stars.
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
think I think Forrest Gump is pretty overrated, honestly. If I have to say so. I think it's kind of overrated. Do I think it should have won Best Picture that year out of those three? No. I think Shawshank clearly should have won Best Picture in 1994. Um, I don't know. I always see on like lists of best movies of all time or favorite movies, Forrest Gump is like always up there. And I just like, for me personally, it's just clearly the weakest of the 1994 movies. And I think it's a little overrated. Like, I still think it's a good movie. It's a good story, very watchable. Tom Hanks is obviously just a great actor. Seeing Forrest Gump just do all these fun things throughout life is just cool to see. But it's just, I don't know. I've never thought it was this masterpiece that everyone else seems to think.
You don't
So,
love Jenny?
Jenny, no, I
Dude,
don't
she
know.
sucks,
I
man.
don't
She
like
sucks.
Jenny. I don't like Jenny.
No,
She's so
she
terrible.
sucks, dude. She sucks. She is. She's absolutely terrible. She's just yeah. Um yeah, I mean, she probably weighs the movie down too, honestly. Like her scenes and stuff, because it's like, oh my god. But I'm with you, dude. If it's between those three, yeah, Forrest Gump's getting the boot. I love Pulp Fiction. I would put Pulp Fiction over Shawshank, but that's just because I'm more of a Pulp Fiction kind of guy. This is kind of more my style, because Pulp Fiction's one of those movies that just has everything. It's got comedy, drama, action, even some horror vibes, some creepy vibes with everything that happens underneath the pawn shop and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's just there's so much to it, and you got all these little storylines all going at the same time, and then they come together at the end and it all makes sense.
And you see how it all fits together.
Yeah, exactly. And it synergizes so well. And you got Samuel L. Jackson, John Travolta, Bruce Willis, Ving Rhames. I mean, Uma Thurman.
It's a stacked cast.
And I just think it's just so much fun. Shawshank Redemption is one of those movies, maybe, I'll watch it like once a year or something like that. But Pulp Fiction, I can watch like 3-4 times. I mean, like, I'll watch if it's on, I'll just watch. I'll leave it on.
I'll give you that Pulp Fiction is more rewatchable than Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Like, as far as like what movie would I rewatch more, I think I'd say I'd rewatch Pulp Fiction more. There are certainly movies I like less than Shawshank Redemption. I mean, we're talking about a movie that's in my top 3 favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of movies, plenty of movies I would rewatch more than The Shawshank Redemption. I probably only watch The Shawshank Redemption once a year, but every time I watch it, I'm just like, this is just amazing. Like, there's like literally nothing negative I could say about it. It's just like one of those things where it's just one of my favorites of all time, even though I don't necessarily rewatch it all the time.
But I'm never really in a mood to watch Forrest Gump. I never find myself like, what I need to put out, and I have a DVD of it, and that's it. You know what I mean? I'm just never really in the mood to watch it, because.
But if it's like on or someone wants to watch it, I'm not gonna complain about it. Like,
No,
it's a
it's
good
not.
movie. I have fun with it, but it's never like
Yeah.
it's not like some of my favorite movies of all time that like the other two, Shawshank and Pulp Fiction. It's not like I want to watch these over and over and over again. where it's like I need to at least watch these once a year. Pulp Fiction, Forrest Gump's never that for me. It just never has been.
And Forrest Gump, it's not like it's pretty well paced. I mean, you're constantly going through, like him as a child, then he goes to war, then he comes back from war, and then he becomes a great ping pong champion. He meets the president, and it's
Some shrimp
very
stuff.
shrimp stuff. Yeah, exactly. Bubba Gump Shrimp and all that stuff. Like Lieutenant Dan, I love Lieutenant Dan. He's probably my favorite character in the entire
Yeah.
film. I think Lieutenant Dan. I almost kind of wish it was just the Lieutenant Dan story with Forrest Gump. You know what I mean? It's
As a
just
side character.
just like because Lieutenant Dan, he's just so funny, man. He's just and it's heartbreaking too what happens to him with his legs and all that stuff, and it's just it's tough, man. It's not a movie that I go back and rewatch a ton. But yeah, you're right. If it's on, I'll watch it because it does flow well. It's a very well written.
Yeah, like I'm not,
movie.
and that's like part of the thing is like when I'm like, yeah, I'm not that. I don't think Forrest Gump's one of the greatest movies of all time. I always get the reaction of like, you hate Forrest Gump. I'm like, didn't say I don't hate Forrest Gump. I think it's a very good movie. Like I said, I have it at I think 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which is a very good score. Like that's a very positive score.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's just it just doesn't resonate with me the way that it resonates with so many other people. Like I'm pretty sure it's at least in the top 20 on IMDb as well. I think all 3 of these movies are in the top 20 for IMDb.
Yeah, I would say Forrest Gump and Shawshank 100%. Pulp Fiction.
Shawshank's number 1.
But Shawshank's got to be, I was going to say it's got to be like number 1 or number 2 easily.
It's been number 1 forever. Yeah. That's how I first found out about Shawshank Redemption. I'm like, I was just looking through the top movies. I'm like, what is this Shawshank Redemption movie? And honestly, my first reaction was, well, I haven't seen the first one because I was like, the Shawshank Redemption. When I hear Redemption, I'm like, oh, that means it's like a sequel for something like
right.
I don't know. I just thought it was a sequel, and so I was like, well, what's the first one? I want to see how great the second one is. What's the first one? I'm like, wait, it's just its own thing.
Like Shawshank. Yeah,
and then subtitle Redemption. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a solid. Yeah, I mean, Forrest Gump, for as much as people love it and they talk about it and stuff, I just don't revisit it that often. I feel like a lot of people don't. I think it's just one of those movies that everybody universally says that, oh yeah, Forrest Gump, of course, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of people don't go back and rewatch that one as much as they think. Not as much as like a Shawshank or a Pulp Fiction or anything like that. You know what I mean? But everybody just, you got to say you love it because obviously it's Forrest Gump. It's Tom Hanks. You're gonna hate on Tom Hanks. You know what I mean?
You just gotta say you love it.
But I do think Jenny. I think that character weighs that film down. I really do because she's.
I don't like Jenny.
Yeah, and I think it does kind of kill the rewatchability because every scene she's in, I'm just like, I'm just like, oh god, And so I think it's that character. Whereas with Shawshank and with Pulp Fiction, you don't really have a character like that like weighs the film down. You kind of even the character like in Shawshank, you know what I mean. Even the characters in that you love to hate them. You know what I mean.
Like
Jenny,
like Hadley, Captain. Like Clancy Brown, you're like, oh, I hate Hadley so much, but he's just like such a great character. That makes sense.
Exactly.
Like the warden is a terrible guy, so despicable, always doing stuff for himself. But it's like that's what makes him so interesting.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Dude, so this Steelbook actually is just the Blu-ray for Shawshank. I have the 4K of Shawshank on my shelf too. Just like the normal 4K because I didn't like the design on the 4K Steelbook. It is one of the few movies on this entire shelf I keep 2 copies of. Like I don't keep 2 copies. Like if I upgrade to 4K or I get a Steelbook that looks better, I'll take the other one off and I have like we have a different shelf downstairs that's like for DVDs and stuff. So I put them in there. So I'm like, I don't need 2 copies of things. But Shawshank's the only movie that I have. It's one of the few movies I have 2 copies of. And for a while I had 3. I just had the normal Blu-ray on my shelf too, until
Oh
I
wow.
started running out of space, and I was like, I guess I don't need this.
So the first Shawshank one, that's a steelbook, right? The one that you were holding up.
Yeah, so this is the Steelbook, just normal Blu-ray Steelbook.
But I
And
like that
then
artwork because that's like the
yeah,
iconic scene from the
yeah,
film. So
yeah, this
that
and then
artwork.
the like
Oh,
it's
and then you have that scene there. So it's so weird because the 4K steelbook, it's like the art is just so much more bland and whatever. It's like
yeah,
it's
and then of course I have the 4K of it. Like
yeah. So it's just like even the slipcover is better than the steelbook for the 4K.
yeah, I don't
Even
know,
the slipcover is just
the
better.
artwork was just
Yeah.
odd for it.
Yeah, it was an
I don't
odd
know.
choice, man. Odd colors too, like the purple and everything, and it was just yeah, just it didn't match the film, like the tone of the film or anything. It was a very odd choice. You know,
It
it's
was
almost like somebody
kinda
that
it was
didn't
kinda
hadn't
in
even
the
seen it
it
made
was
it.
kinda in the vein of like how this Pulp Fiction one is, but for
Right.
Shawshank. But it makes sense for Pulp Fiction, not for
I'm
Shawshank.
with you. I'm not wild about the Pulp Fiction. The Pulp Fiction had a way. I like the slipcover better, but I prefer. I like Steelbook, so I want to get every Quentin Tarantino film on Steelbook. But the slipcover, that black and white slipcover, you know, with the
Oh, with
classic
Uma
Uma
Thurman.
Thurman, the pose, and the only
Yeah.
color in it, she's got like the red nails and the red lipstick and stuff. Like that's a fantastic slipcover. I might get that, you know, when it goes like Black Friday, like $10 or something like that, I might just go ahead and get that just because I think it's so badass. You know, it's kind of like
The
how you feel about Shawshank, I feel about Pulp Fiction. You know, so
Yeah. The Tarantino movie that I'm waiting for them to do a Steelbook or 4K,
Hateful Eight,
The
yeah,
Hateful Eight. This is my favorite Tarantino movie. It's up there with
great.
Shawshank in my top 3 favorite movies. Where the fuck is my 4K and
I
Steelbook
know,
for
dude.
this? I
Where is
need
it,
it.
man?
Like,
Where is
where
it?
is it?
Dude, Hateful
That
Eight.
was
That's
that was
another.
that was almost one of my hot takes, is that
It
Hateful Eight's
is.
my favorite Tarantino movie.
It
That
is.
almost
I
was on my
completely
list.
because people that movie does not get enough love. That a lot of people will tell you that's their least favorite one. I'm like, dude, Hateful Eight is like amazing because that film has so much dialogue and it's all good. It's all really good
It's
dialogue.
all
Yeah.
memorable, and it's like such a slow burn, and like that whole monologue from Samuel L. Jackson when he's figuring it out
Yep.
is just
Love-
incredible.
I
It's
actually
like
just watched it last night again. It's funny that you brought that up because I literally just watched it again. I think I
yeah.
love that movie.
I that's like so in my family we have a tradition. You've probably never heard of it, but the movie Year Without a Santa Claus, it's a TV movie from like the 70s.
Hmm.
First snow of every year, everyone in our family just watches that movie. Just like
Oh,
it's just like our own family tradition thing. My personal tradition, when it snows, I watch The Hateful Eight. Like blizzard
yes.
outside, snow on the
Yeah,
ground, I'm like Hateful Eight time.
it's
And
perfect.
every time I do that and I like watch it, I'm like, damn, I should watch the Netflix one. And then I forget about it because I want to watch the extended cut to see how it is because I just love the movie
Oh,
so
it's good.
much.
Yeah, no, it's solid, man. It's all. I actually watched the Hateful Eight in theaters with like you know how they broke out like you know the 35 millimeter print and all that stuff. And they you know they did the works on it at certain theaters, you know, and they did like the intermission and all that in the middle. You know I got to experience all that you know in theaters. So um, it was so much fun because I went with some of my friends and we watched it, and then they had that little intermission. Then we went outside and we talked about like the first half of the film, and then we went back in and finished watching it. And I believe it was right. It was like it was shot. You know, it was like 35 millimeter, and then it was also on like a projector. You know, too like really old school. I believe that's what they did.
That's
Because I think
badass.
they had to have it sent into them to set it all up and hook it up and everything. So I remember we were I mean this was so many years ago, but we were talking to the person that was working there at the time at that theater and everything, and they were kind of telling us about it. But it was just so badass, man. It was so much
Mhm.
fun seeing that movie in theaters and everything, and I'll never forget that. You know.
I kind of hope like I would be shocked if they didn't do a 4K steelbook for Hateful Eight or 4K something for it because it's Tarantino, right? Um, I would I want them to put that extended edition in there, even though it's a Netflix exclusive. See if you can put it in there, because that would just be cool, a cool little thing to have for the 4K upgrade.
You know what's funny, dude? I'm pretty sure if you go to Netflix, I think it does give you the option of the extended cut or the regular.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is. Because it's like a mini series on Netflix. It's 4 hour long episodes.
Oh, that's how they
I
break
guess.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I got you, I got you. Oh, that's
Instead of
interesting. That's an
yeah,
interesting way to do it. Huh.
yeah,
Instead of just
but
doing like two halves, they break it up. But I'm saying, but they but that is the extended cut, right? That they break up
yeah,
like, okay, okay, I got you. Okay.
yeah. Just out of curiosity, when was the intermission when you saw it?
Oh God. Oh, I think it was. Oh man, I think it was right after Samuel L. Jackson gives his like infamous speech
And then get
about.
shot in the balls?
Before that, no, it's when he's talking
Oh,
about making that
oh,
guy's son go down
yeah,
on him,
yeah.
all that stuff. Like he's telling that story so that the old man will like go for his gun, and
Mhm.
and Samuel L. Jackson will, he can shoot him, because it's like self defense at that point. You know what I'm talking about? The old man that's
Yeah,
sitting in the chair and all that. Yeah, it was like right after that was finished. It was right after Samuel L. Jackson shoots the old guy. I think that's where it went to intermission. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure because I remember it was so funny, that dialogue that Samuel L. Jackson. He just goes, he starts telling that story, and everybody's in the theaters laughing and everything, and then he shoots him, and then I'm pretty sure that's where the
intermission.
intermission happens.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
but talk about an amazing twist and reveal is that movie. That movie genuinely shocked me the first time I watched it, and not many movies do that with like the reveal of what's happening, like
Yes.
stuff like that. That one shocked me. I was like, whoa, this is awesome. Like from
Dude.
the first time I watched it, like I watched it for the first time maybe 4 years ago,
Mm.
instantaneously him one of my favorite movies of all time. Did easily my favorite Tarantino movie, I thought. So yeah.
Walton Goggins in that movie is so funny, man. I love that character.
Just like the way he talks too.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Oh, it's
when
awesome.
he's trying to hitch a ride with him, and they finally let him in or whatever, and Kurt Russell, gives like Samuel L. Jackson his gun back or whatever, and he's like, "Okay, I know I can trust you," or whatever. And Walton Goggins like, "Oh, that's so nice. Y'all want to go out and make snow angels together out in the snow or whatever."
Dude.
It was so perfect because the scene is kind of tense, and then he just breaks it up with this like great joke. You know what I mean? Y'all want to go out and make snow angels?
Yeah, just I every
It's so
time
good.
that he talks and just like the way he just like his tone of voice, the way he flows his sentences in that movie, it's so funny. I love all the characters in that. They're all quirky in their own way, but yeah.
When he figures out, like, when Joe Gage
Oh,
says, like, when he's like, I did it, I poisoned the coffee or whatever,
it's
when he like
like,
confesses or whatever,
I
and Walton
fucking
Goggins,
knew
I
it.
fucking knew it. He gets so excited.
And he's like, "Oh, let me blow this ugly son of a bitch to hell. Come
Yeah.
on, Warren."
Yeah.
Uh,
That's good,
so
man.
good.
I love it.
So damn good.
It's one of those movies. I know people say they think it's slow because of the dialogue, because there's just so much dialogue in it, but that's what Quentin Tarantino's great at. It's the dialogue. You just want to keep listening to these characters tell stories, and I like it so funny because they all know each other. They've all heard of each other. You're like, oh, you're that guy. Oh, you're the hangman. Oh, or whatever, like they all know each other from something, or you're the famous bounty hunter, or you're this, or you're that, or you're the war hero, or, you're the guy that, Samuel L. Jackson's character, like, oh, you're the guy that burned down all those, military men or whatever. And, when they're telling that story, like everyone knows each other, and it's great. You just go with it, even though it's like, it's back then, like in the old West, like all those like right after the Civil War or whatever. And it's like, what are the odds? They've all heard of they've all heard of each other, but you just roll with it because it's fun. Um, hey, what's going on, Brad? What's up, man?
Hello, 4K Tent Revival. What's up? We're sharing hot takes. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
just
share
talking
some of
about.
yours.
Yeah, share some of your hot
Yours.
takes, Brad. I know Brad's he'll hit you with some doozies. I'm telling you,
Okay.
Brad. I'm sure Brad's got some.
All right,
Yeah.
share away, Brad.
He's Brad's a big remake guy too. He loves remakes. He loves a lot of
Well,
remakes.
he's in good company then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because we all like remakes. So yeah.
All right,
Yep.
what's another one that you got for us tonight?
Oh, let's see. What's the next one? Um. So this is another movie. It's interesting because this was kind of like I wasn't sure about this one, but I added it to my list anyway because I just don't think it gets enough love. And that's I don't think it's as good. I don't think it's as good as the original. I mean, I don't think it beats the original, but I think it's like right there with it. And that's Predator 2. I think Predator 2 is a really, really underrated film. I think it's really good. Obviously, the first Predator, it's very hard to beat. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime. It's a great cast. It's all the dialogue's really funny and witty, and it's just a bunch of muscle bound guys, and they're going out and kicking ass, and it's very hard to beat the original Predator. But Predator 2, man, they're just having a blast in that movie. I mean, that is like classic 90s fun. It's very over the top. It starts out with that big war scene. It's like the concrete jungle now. It's not like, the regular jungle where they were at before. It's like you got the concrete jungle, like the streets of LA, and there's just this big war that's, and you got, Danny Glover comes in there and he's like, freaking, plows his car through all those guys and stuff. And he's, they're having that gun battle with all the gang members and stuff outside. And then the Predator just comes and takes all those guys out. And you're like, what the fuck happened? I mean, he's stringing them up and doing all that stuff. And I just love. I think it's such a fun story in Predator 2. And then you got Bill Paxton, who's he's fantastic. Bill Paxton, man, come on. And you just got such a great cast of characters. I mean, everybody in the movies. You got Gary Busey. I mean, like, how do you go wrong? But I love the arsenal that Predator has in this film, dude. He's got the spear. He's got the claw, the retractable claws still. He's got the net gun, the net that he shoots out that, gets the guy and it starts to constrict over them and, squeezes them to death, basically. You still got the energy cannon on his shoulder. You got that disc that he launches, and he cuts, Gary Busey's head off and all that shit. And there's just so many fun toys that like the Predator 2 brings is like all of his weapons are just like amazing. And you just get to see him kill more people in this movie. It's like a higher body count. It's bloody. I like all the gang members, you got the Jamaican gang members and, you just got, it's just fun. It's just, Danny Glover, I get it. He's no Arnold, but he's a badass too, man. Danny Glover, he's a big guy. I mean, he's a big dude. I think he gives a really solid performance as the lead character and everything. And when he faces off against the Predator, I mean, I believe it, man. I mean, he's unloading that shotgun into the Predator. That scene at the end. When he's in the meat packing plants. It was like a meat packing plant, so it's all cold and everything in there. So he couldn't read their body temperatures and stuff. And he's just like shooting holes into the Predator and the green blood's coming out and all that. And it's so good, man. I love the scene too where the Predator loses his arm and he's patching he's patching up all those bullet holes and stuff on his chest. He's got that little like first aid kit that he had in the first Predator film, but it's even more. I don't know. He's got like that blue stuff that he puts in there, and he patches up all of his wounds. He's got like a built-in sterno that melts it, and then he starts patching himself up. It's just there's so much. I love all the technology and everything that goes into it, and they expand the universe because then they show you the ship at the end, and it's got the alien skull. He's got that whole like. like a trophy wall, basically, and it's got all these alien skulls, human skulls but you see the alien, the xenomorph skull in there. And that was like the first time they'd ever crossed over the universes. So I could go on and on about Predator 2, but I'm not saying it's better than the original, but I think it's really underrated and just a hell of a fun time. It's just a blast.
All right, before I respond, we'll respond to
Yeah.
Brad's comments. Apparently, the gang from Hateful Eight was extremely notorious, and the leads being bounty hunters and a lawman isn't so far fetched that they know each other. But yeah, it's the Old West, is I rolled. Yeah, makes sense. I can get that, but at the same time, I guess it is a little bit far fetched that everyone in this cabin knows each other. But
I'll just like, oh, you're that guy from.
Whatever. I don't care that much. It doesn't bother me.
That's what I'm saying. It's one of those things you roll with it. Like who gives a shit? So what? It's fun. Yeah.
Hot take. My favorite Friday the 13th is a remake. This is a correct opinion because I share this as too. This is correct. That's not a hot take. That is facts. I'm gonna have to hard disagree with you about Predator 2 here, Anthony.
Oh, see, there it is, man. I knew it. See, yeah. I just don't. Go ahead. Tell me why you hate it.
This is my least favorite Predator film. If we're not including AVP movies, if we're including AVP movies and AVP Requiem, I don't like. I like worse than this.
Damn.
Yeah.
Not even above AVP, the first AVP. God damn, man. Okay.
Yeah, right. I really don't like this movie. I really don't like Predator 2. It just doesn't do it for me. It's just like you said, it's like pure 90s cheese, right?
Yep.
80s cheese, I can get into. 90s cheese, I can't get into. So that might be part of it, or that probably is part of it. But it's just not as interesting as the first one. It's just like one of those movies where every time I watch it, I'm just like, I just don't care. It's just one of those things like, I just don't care. I don't find this interesting. I'm not entertained. I'm not engaged with it. It's just one of those movies that just doesn't do it for me. And there's nothing like specific, I guess. It's just one of those movies I just can't engage with.
Dude, what about when the Predator says, "Want some candy?"
No.
Dude, it's just fun. It's just so much fun. You kind of gotta, you don't even have to throw your brain away completely I don't think it's like that, crazy. It's believable because, they say, the Predator comes during the hottest times of the year or whatever. And it's like a scorcher in LA. I mean, the entire time, everybody in the cast is just sweating bullets, so it makes sense. He's like, okay. And then he sees Danny Glover in the beginning of the movie taking on all these gun members. He's driving like a car through all these gang members and through all this chaos and stuff to save the other policemen that were shot, and everything. And they were wounded and they were on the floor. And, so the Predator sees Danny Glover's character just being a complete badass. And he's like, challenge accepted, like that. He's the one. Because after that, he's stalking Danny Glover's character throughout the film. And that's why he's like, he's kind of taunting him in a way because he's killing off, he kills off his buddy, Manny, I believe is his name, he kills him off. And he's just kind of, every time Danny gets close to someone or goes around like the Jamaican drug lord guy, Predator, as soon as Danny Glover's character leaves, the Predator's right there, cuts his head off. Remember that scene where he's carrying his head away, and it's just like, the Jamaican drug lord guy, like he's stalking him. He's just waiting. He's biding time for them to finally have that battle, that conflict and everything. And he wants to see like, what is he made out of, So I don't know, man. I really like, and Gary Busey, dude, come on, man. He's so good in that movie. I love, they think they have this whole plan worked out where it's like, okay, he's in the meat packing plant. It's cold in there. We put this like dust that will like adhere to him and all this stuff. And he won't be able to see us, but we'll see him and we're going to take him out. And then the Predator's like, no, bitches. I can see, he changes his vision a little bit. You can see the lights coming from that because those, obviously like emanate heat and stuff as well. And so you can see those lights on there on their sides and everything, and he just targets the lights, and then he just starts taking them all out that way. So it's like the Predator outsmarts him once again, and then it finally get that big showdown between Danny Glover and the Predator. I think it's badass, man, because it's not easy. They're fighting, and then the Predator kind of gets away, and they're still fighting, and then Danny Glover cuts his arm off, and then they're still fighting, and then they finally go down to the spaceship that's underground, like in the sewers, and they have that one last confrontation. Danny Glover just takes that thing and just cuts him down the middle. I mean, it's just so badass. I don't know. I love it. But it's all right, man. You don't have to. But
it just doesn't work for me.
This is what it's about, it's hot takes.
Yeah. And it's just like one of those movies where it's just like I just can't pinpoint specifically what doesn't work for me. It's just like as a whole, it's just the one Predator movie I don't really want to rewatch. I guess, or not don't want to rewatch, the one I have the least desire to rewatch. I don't think it's atrocious. But it's just
Brad says hot take, American Psycho is a Christmas movie.
Even hotter take, I didn't really care for American Psycho.
Oh my god. Oh, now you just pissed Brad off. Now he's about to go off on you in the comments. Dude, oh my god. Yeah. I don't you know what's funny?
What about American Psycho 2 with Mila Kunis?
What about it? You like that one or you don't like it?
No, I've never seen it.
Oh, okay.
But it has 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I know, yeah. I haven't seen it.
Probably a classic, great horror movie, probably.
American Psycho is a Christmas movie, and that's so funny because as many times as I've watched it, I never thought about it like that. It's weird. But
yeah.
Unsubscribed, I told you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you don't like that film either, man. That seems like it would
yeah,
kind of be in your wheelhouse, because it is weird. It's a weird movie. It's out there for sure. But
William Shatner's in American Psycho. This is true.
William Shatner's in American Psycho too? Holy shit!
Yeah.
I might have to watch it just because of that.
I have heard
Captain Kirk
but terrible things. Captain Kirk and Meg Griffin, American Psycho 2.
So what's your next hot take, sir? What do you got?
You might actually know this one. We talked about it on our last stream.
Oh, okay.
But I prefer Halloween 2018 to the 1978 original.
I knew you were gonna. Yeah, I knew you were gonna bring up a Halloween movie because there's other hot takes too. But yeah, I knew you were gonna bring up one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's a hot one. It's a hot one putting any Halloween movie over the original.
Yes.
Like just that's a hot take in general.
Yeah.
I mean,
so what do you love? What do you love about Halloween 2018? What is it?
What do I love?
What is it that makes it better than the original?
And it's like, and at the same, it's kind of like that thing with Forrest Gump. I'm not crapping on the original Halloween.
No.
Like both of those are in my top 10 favorite horror movies of all time. So both amazing movies I both love. I have them both on 4K, so, and Steelbook, if that tells you anything about it.
Oh yeah, of course.
But I think Michael is significantly better in 2018. I like the kills better in 2018. Those are like the two things that I like definitively can be like, yeah, these are better than the original.
James Jude Courtney, man, he's a beast.
He's my favorite Michael. He's my favorite Michael. It's just a really good legacy sequel. It kind of started this whole legacy sequel trend, and I think it's the best one that we've had. And we'll get to that in a second here with my next hot take.
I knew I was going there.
Yeah. But it's a really damn good legacy sequel. It started off strong, that's for sure. And it's just one of those movies that's just like a comfort movie to me. Like, it, as weird as that sounds, it's like, I don't think it's I don't even think Halloween 2018 is a 5 out of 5 movie. I think I have both of those movies at 4.5 on Letterboxd, which is still phenomenal. But it's just like, for some reason, Halloween 2018 is just a comfort movie for me. Like if I just had like a bad day or something, I don't really know what to watch, or I just want to feel better, I just go watch Halloween 2018. I don't know what it is about it. It just, it's just that movie for me. It's one of those movies for me. So
Yeah, no, and the score in
oh,
2018
the
is also.
score
I
is
wouldn't say I'm not saying it's better than the original because the original is a classic, but I think it uses the original and then also brings you something new.
it modernizes it in a
Right, and
good way.
it's great, man. But once again, it's John Carpenter and his son. They're working together, and I think they do a great job. So, oh, what's
Or
Brad saying? Goddamn. Yep.
I prefer
Messed up.
H2 to H1. Interesting. I've heard that one before.
It's great, dude. Halloween 2 is. I almost kind of look at them as one film because if you watch Halloween, you're probably watching Halloween 2.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Out of the
almost
whole
one
Halloween
movie.
franchise, they're the
Mhm.
two most tonally consistent with each other.
Yeah, I love Halloween 2. I mean, I don't know because it's more of a slasher film in the second movie. It's a higher body count, and I love the hospital setting too. So I get
You
it,
love that sandwich dialogue in the cop car from 2018.
dude. Yeah,
I
that
don't
was.
I don't mind it.
That was a
I
little.
don't mind it.
Although it's funny because one of the guys in the cop car, that's the guy who does the all the practical effects and stuff for the
Yeah.
film.
Mhm.
Chris. I'm trying to think of his last name, but yeah, he does the practical effects for the film.
H1 is really an atmosphere slow burn, not a slasher. I could agree with that. I could see that too.
Chris Nelson, I think that's his name. Chris Nelson, I believe.
H1 has great atmosphere though.
Yeah,
The first Halloween's a classic, right? I'm not taking away anything from it. I mean, anything that Anthony and I would say about H1 just be adding onto the pile of everything everyone's ever said about the movie.
but no, but it's true. But it is more of it's a slow burn. It is more about the atmosphere. It's more about. Plus, I'll be honest, dude. The one thing that Halloween 2018 doesn't have is Donald Pleasance, and for me, Donald Pleasance is the
You need
man.
Donald Pleasance.
Yeah, Donald Pleasance is he's. I mean, I like Donald Pleasance over Laurie Strode. Period. That might be another hot take, but Donald Pleasance to me is the one that I'm following when I watch this movie. I like Laurie Strode in the first film, but it's all about Donald Pleasance. Throughout that entire series, I think he's great. He's it's all about Dr. Loomis. For me, So and then Michael Myers obviously in it, but I just that performance. I feel like Halloween isn't what it is without Donald Pleasance's performance and that dialogue that he gives.
I can agree with that.
It's not the same. It's not the same movie. If you remove him, you can remove Laurie Strode and put in a different girl or whatever. You can't remove Dr. Loomis, And then Donald Pleasance obviously is just like the perfect actor to give that dialogue and everything. So, yeah.
Also, Halloween 2018 is shot incredibly well.
Oh yeah, it looks great.
Great
cinematography.
cinematography.
Yeah, and it feels very Halloweeny. Like it feels like the Halloween atmosphere is there in Halloween 2018. Like that atmosphere, or the the Halloween vibes and everything. You really feel it in 2018.
H1 and H2 is like a Kill Bill type deal.
Exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
It's more of one movie than anything else. It's like just continues the story.
H1 has its problems for me, like when the hardware store gets broken into and they spend 20 minutes in the middle of the movie talking about it on the street in front of the store.
And then Michael drives by. And Donald Pleasance is like looking the other way, so he doesn't see him. But that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Still great.
Oh yeah.
The first one's still great. I've just always preferred 2018. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's like it's a faster paced film too, right? Like it gets right into like the action and stuff. It's not fucking around. It's like, let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think it's great, dude. Some people talk about I'm like that scene where they're in the restroom and he just grabs that guy and just tosses him around like a rag doll. He's like bang, 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 and just throws him against the wall. And he's still alive.
The creepy shit with like the teeth.
Oh man, just drops the teeth, and she's just scared out of her mind. And he just takes her up, and just snaps her neck like it's just nothing, and just tosses her away. And then
he gets reunited with the mask, and that mask is incredible.
Yep, I love it. All that's great. Jamie Lee Curtis, I think in that film is, I think she's okay. I probably like her best in that movie, but she's, you know, I don't know. She's not my favorite. I'm not a big fan of any of the human characters in Halloween 2018, but except for, actually no, I do like the deputy.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's
I forgot what the
the
actor's name is, but that deputy,
Frank.
yeah, Frank. I
Frank.
think he's really good. I like his character a lot. He's like, he's like, I'm gonna run this motherfucker down or whatever. I'm gonna, like, because the doctor next to him is like, no, we gotta
Yeah,
take him back and we
like
gotta
that scene where he's
examine
like,
him.
"Oh, I see Michael," and then you just hear the rev of the engine. He's like, he don't care. He's just gonna
Right.
go crash into this
Right.
guy,
He's like, I'm
and
gonna kill this
then
motherfucker.
doesn't hesitate. Just gets out of the car like, "I'm gonna shoot him point blank in the head." And the
Oh,
doctor's like,
that's
"No,
what he
no,
says.
no."
He's like, I'm gonna get on this ground. I'm gonna blow his motherfucking brains out. I love it. It's perfect. This delivery is so good. Oh man. What else is Brad saying? I think he's saying, or is it the
Oh, a mask was taken. Can we get any more cops out here to investigate the hardware store break-in? There's an escaped mental patient killer on the loose, and they're worried about that someone stole a mask.
right?
Dude, those $5 for that mask. That's a
Right. We gotta
lot.
track him down, man. Small town rules right there.
Yeah.
All
All
right. No, that
right.
was a good one, man. That was definitely a hot take, because that
Mhm.
one will definitely, like, I think that, and then me liking the Brad. I don't know if you heard that, but I was telling Fox here that I like the Night of the Living Dead remake over the original, which is blasphemy to a lot of people as well. Um,
My next two are going to be pretty good too.
well,
So,
and then you and I shared one, so that took one off my list, and that was Top Gun. Brad, we talked about that as
darn.
well. We both, think Top Gun's kind of overrated. We're not fans of that movie, but we don't have the built-in nostalgia for it. Oh, what do you say?
I think it's a quote from Halloween
Oh
2018.
yeah, I prayed every night he would come back so I could kill him. That was a stupid thing to pray for. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what Hawkins says. Yeah, that
So,
was.
how many more do you have saved, like ready to go?
Well, yeah. So we both. I've got.
I have two left.
Yeah, I've got three technically. One we kind of talked about before on the last stream, but I was just gonna bring it up to just mention it one more time. But no, I'll talk about another one that I like, that I feel like no one no one really likes this film, but Dream Child.
Oh, the Nightmare on Elm Street 5?
Yeah, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, Dream Child. Yeah, the fifth film. I actually think it's a great movie. I really like that movie. I like the dark gothic feel of the film. I think the practical effects are probably some of the best in the entire franchise. I mean, dude, you get the motorcycle kill where he's literally turning into the motorcycle and everything. All those, like, he's becoming one with it or whatever. It's just so, all those blades and pipes and all that stuff are going into his legs and his arms and everything. It's brutal and it looks so badass. The MPAA definitely messed with this film a lot too, like they, did to a lot of 80s horror movies and stuff back then. But you still get some good kills. The girl that's eating herself, that's disgusting. She's literally eating herself, and that's great. The guy that goes inside of the comic book and then Freddy just shreds him, that was cool too. And you just see the color leave him and he turns like black and white and he just gets shredded. That's really good. There's not a ton of kills in it, but the ones that are there I think are good. But none of the Nightmare films really have like super high body counts. Yeah, what else is there? I think the story's good. It touches on some sensitive subjects back then, to the, touches on like abortion, and it talks about I like the redemption arc of the father, because in the fourth movie, he doesn't, he's an alcoholic. He doesn't really, pay attention to what his kids are doing, all this stuff. And then the fifth movie, he's not an alcoholic anymore. He's trying to be in his daughter's life more. His son's dead, obviously, so he's still got his daughter left, and he's just he's trying to be there for her, and he wants to back her up with her decisions and stuff like that, and just be a father to her, And I don't know. I think a lot of that gets lost. People just like, that's stupid. But it's like it's really trying to give you a story. I mean, it's weird and bizarre, but it is trying to give you something. Like Freddie coming through the dreams of the child that's inside of her, I think is like, that's crazy, man. But that's kind of cool too. Like that's an interesting story, and it's different. It's something that they haven't done before. And like I said, I think Freddie. I think Robert Englund, of course, does another amazing job. I think he gives a great performance. I don't think he's phoning it in or hamming it up or anything. I think he's just giving a good performance. I do. I mean, sometimes he's funny and whatever, but I think he's scary when he needs to be too. And that third act is great. When all of the friends that he's killed are like coming out of his chest and they're coming at her and stuff. And I don't know, man. I think it's really underrated, and I would put it pretty high on my list for nightmare films. So yeah, Dream Child. Yeah, really, really like it. Really dig it. How do you feel about the Dream Child?
So I'm not really a fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Really, the only three that I like are the first three. Then everything after the first three, and then New Nightmare is okay too. Everything else I just don't care for. It's just like it just gets too weird for me. All the especially the 4, 5, and 6 for Elm Street just get too weird for me, and I just can't get into them.
Dude,
I've seen them like 3 times each of them. I just can't get into it.
I like that weirdness though, because you don't get that in a lot of mainstream films anymore. So I guess I just appreciate it because it's like it's stuff that they probably wouldn't do nowadays. You know what I mean? I like that. I like that weird feel. It's just different. I just don't think you get that anymore. But I don't know. There's something about that story that I think it's good. I think the actress too. I think she really ups her game from the 4th film to the 5th film. I think she does a lot better in that 5th film. I think she's actually pretty solid. Yeah. Oh, what's Brad saying?
Dawn of the Dead. I think Day of the Dead is better, and the remake of Dawn is better than both. Zack Snyder killed it. Zack Snyder certainly did. I love Zack
agree.
Snyder.
I think Dawn of the Dead, the remake, is better than the original, and I think
because he's not a Freddy guy. I'm not a Freddy guy. The stoner humor, I guess, is because I've never done drugs. Maybe it'll help.
Yeah. I don't do that stuff either. I mean, I've smoked, I've smoked weed and stuff here and there, but not a lot, just a little bit here and there. And I've never liked it. That's the thing, is like that shit. I don't know, man. I always feel so like kind of gross after I do it. Like I never have a good reaction to it. So
I've never done that, but and that's kind of like why I don't want to do this. Like I don't want to feel gross, and I also don't want to like have the potential of getting addicted to something like that.
Yeah, no, and it's weird, it's just I feel kind of gross when it's like I'll have a couple drinks here and there, you know what I mean, and that's good for me, just like maybe a couple beers or something like that, every once in a while, or a drink here and there, but yeah, weed was never it for me. I never felt good after it. I always felt kind of dirty too. Like I needed to take a shower afterwards. I never liked the feel of it. So, and
however,
I did it multiple times because some of my friends were like, dude, you're just not doing the right ones. You gotta try this special batch, and I'm like, dude, it all tastes. It's all the same, man. I feel the same no matter which special one you're doing. I just always feel like shit. So I was like, I'm done. I tried it multiple times.
However, after watching Breaking Bad, I can confirm I am now a hardcore meth addict thanks to Breaking Bad. I watched that show and I was like, dude, meth is so cool. I have to do meth now. This stream's brought to you by Dare.
Dare, yeah.
We are sponsored now. All right.
What you got?
The next one. T2 is not my favorite Terminator movie.
Okay. All right.
The one that is.
Uh-oh.
Terminator Dark Fate.
No, dude, no. Are you kidding, right?
No.
Oh
I
my.
love Terminator Dark Fate. That's not putting down again, it's not putting down T2. Honestly, T1, T2, and Terminator Dark Fate, I give them all 5 out of 5s. I love all 3 of those movies, and Dark Fate is my favorite Terminator.
Oh man, dude, you know what's funny? I could roll with you on a lot of this stuff.
Goddamn no.
We've been agreeing. We've been agreeing more than we had. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you didn't like Predator 2. That's fine. And I, you know, and you know, I don't like John Cena. You like John Cena, but this one is just this one's brutal. This one's brutal, man. And but no, go ahead and tell me why you like this one. Why do you prefer this one over the original and T2 Judgment Day?
Why do I prefer this one?
Yeah, what that gets you?
Who?
Is it the characters? Do you like the characters better?
Yeah, I just the characters, the story they chose to tell was a very smart story and is clearly to me the best follow-up to T2 that they've tried. I think it makes the most sense. The whole idea with this Terminator that completed his mission now has nothing to do and then grows a conscience. I think that is amazing. I think the Rev 9's a fantastic villain, just so interesting how you can like split two and you have two coming at you. Sarah Connor's character arc, where she's at, is amazing. It feels pretty natural between the 3 movies. I think the action sequences in this movie are phenomenal, especially that dam fight sequence at the end when they're like in that room and there's like the spinny things in there. That fight sequence is fucking incredible. I watch that fight sequence like once a month, just by itself. I'll just pull it up on YouTube and watch it. Just I love that fight sequence so much. Yeah, it's one of those movies where honestly, besides one element to it, which I guess we're talking about spoilers, besides the first 5 minutes, if that makes you hate the whole movie, that makes you hate the whole movie. I can understand that if you have some deep-rooted love for the character of John Connor. I don't. I was fine with it. But otherwise, it's just one of those movies where I don't get why so many people hate it or is like, this is like the worst movie ever. It's one of those movies. I've always loved this movie. I thought the trailers looked terrible for this movie. I wasn't expecting anything. And then I walked out and I was like, this is actually my favorite Terminator movie. And I've even rewatched all the Terminator movies because that movie is 5-ish years old now. I watched all the Terminator movies plenty of times through them. It's one of my favorite franchises.
Yeah.
And every time I'm just like, I just love Dark Fate the most out of all of these. Yeah, I love this movie so much.
Well, Brad is saying his favorite is T1.
T1.
Yeah, he's a T1 dude.
And how old is Sarah Connor in this movie? Probably 60s.
Yeah,
I would say 60s because she was like 20ish in the first one, and the first one's in the 80s,
like mid 60s or so.
Yeah, like late 50s, early 60s. But yeah, I just something about it, and I don't know. I've always been okay with the opening to this movie where they just kill John Connor. I'm just like, that is ballsy, and it's like. I know this movie's compared to Alien 3 a lot because it does like the same thing in the opening sequence where you kill the person from the previous movie.
Yeah. Which pisses people off a lot of times. It did with Alien 3 as well.
And I guess
but I give them credit for that because it's kind of
the difference between Dark Fate and Alien 3 is that Alien 3 it doesn't feel like it had meaning or like undid the victory of the movie beforehand. Well, in this movie, they kill John, but then they're like, later in the movie, they're like, what's Skynet? Because they stopped Skynet in T2. Like, this is Legion now. It's not Skynet. So, like, they still won in T2. They stopped Skynet. And so it's like, John's, like, yeah, they killed John, but they still won in Skynet. And it's not, and you fucked up John Connor so many times in this franchise. Like, you don't need to keep doing John Connor.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
T3 John Connor. Oh, let's make John Connor a Terminator. Like,
tell a different story. Tell a different. Let's
Move
get away
on from John.
Yeah, it's
Like,
I like John Connor too. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean. I even like Salvation. Actually, a lot of people hate that movie. But actually,
I think up until Dark Fate, that's the best Terminator sequel.
I like Salvation. Yeah, I think it's good because it went for something different.
Yeah,
And
where
I
it's not time travel. You get to see the war
I
finally
like
that
that
they've been building up.
right, exactly. You actually get to see this like dystopian, future or whatever that they're going through, and it's pretty. I mean, it's pretty cool, man. The Terminators in that look badass too.
So why
Oh,
why am
Brad
I
said.
wrong?
Brad said. Our
Our
boy
boy
Gizmo
Gizmo.
loves showgirls, and we tolerate his ass. So no worries for for referring Terminator Dark Fate. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Our friend Gizmo, he loves showgirls. He talks about it all the time, and that's like a universally hated film.
So how do
But no,
you
Dark Fate,
feel
dude.
about Dark
Yeah,
Fate?
yeah. So I saw it in theaters, and I just I don't know, man. It just didn't give me those that it didn't give me those feels that you get from like the first two Terminators or even Salvation. You know what I mean? Like for a more recent, Terminator movie, I do like it over Terminator 3, and I do. And it's probably better than like what Genesis, right? And is there another one? How many of these
No,
fucking things?
it's just 6 movies.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like it's got some cool stuff. I agree. I like the Terminator that splits in two. I think that's cool. But the Terminator himself, I wish they would have given him like a little bit more character, kind of like the
Like
yeah, I've
this.
got that same steelbook actually. Yeah.
It's an awesome steelbook.
I just wish that they'd give him a little bit more character, kind of like the one from T2, where he feels like such a threat. And he's such a even though he doesn't say a lot, but his like the way he emotes and everything is just like, geez, it's like you're kind of terrified of this guy. You know what I mean? It's just the kills are so vicious too. I mean, put his finger through that security guard's eyeball, and then he just hits that one guy, the stepfather with like the extended arm, like
Oh yeah, just a
bike,
like through the
right
milk thing.
through the milk, like so it's very memorable. Where I feel like with this guy, I don't really remember any. I remember him like slicing and dicing through all the people that are tackling him or whatever, but it's like it's so quick and you don't really see it as much. I feel like they didn't take advantage of the R rating for the film. It's not very like bloody, you know what I mean? Because it's kind of like
Probably because Linda Hamilton says like 500 f-bombs in the movie,
right, because it's not there's not like a lot of like human versus Terminator. Like there's some, but there's not like a lot of blood. It's more of like Terminator versus Terminator, and it's there's no blood or anything there. So it's kind of interesting. I almost feel like you could have made this PG-13 if you had just cut like you said, cut all the f bombs out of it, like or most of them, and left in one f bomb. But yeah, it almost could have been PG-13, but there are sequences in it that are good. I just didn't really relate to any of the characters that well. Like the female, Terminator. I wanted to like her, but they just didn't give me enough. And Linda Hamilton was cool, but she kind of did feel almost a little like shoehorned in there. But I almost think they could have just went away from that. This seemed like a good film to maybe even try to just kind of get away from the old characters and maybe try something new. I think they're just so afraid to leave like Arnold and Linda Hamilton and all that behind, because they're basically telling the same story over again. Like the lady, the main, chick in the film, the younger girl or whatever. She's like the new
Danny.
John Connor. What's her name?
Danny.
She's the younger one, right? The younger girl.
Yeah, the new John Connor. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's basically right. She's like the new John Connor or whatever other thing. So it's like they're kind of rehashing, the story again, and they've brought back all the OGs and stuff. And I just wish that they had gone a different route, just to try something just a little bit different. But I did like when they brought back Arnold. I thought he was kind of funny and stuff. You know what I mean? Like his
the drapes and stuff.
Yeah, it was funny. You know what I mean? And he was a badass towards the end too. Like he had a good fight at the end, But But yeah, dude,
There's a
I
lot
would
of
never in a
good.
million years say that one's my favorite, though. I'll give you credit for that because that is a hot take. I mean, I put T1, T2, Salvation definitely over Dark Fate, but
I know it's unpopular to even like that movie, let
it
alone.
is people because people do they hate Dark Fate. I don't think I hate it as much as everyone else, but it's not one that I return to very often. But maybe I'll pop it in soon. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe
when I'm in the mood for a Terminator movie, I do Dark Fate. That's the one I pop in most.
Yeah, maybe in the next couple of days or the next couple of weeks or whatever, I'll throw it on. Just let's see, let's watch it again because I think I saw it once in theaters and then maybe once after I bought it. That steelbook that you have, and I think that's it. So,
All right, what is your last? Oh wait, before we get to your last hot take,
yeah.
I had fun with Genesis, and it's a mess. Genesis is a mess, but it's fun. T800 had a lot of character in Genesis. Yeah, even like what I would say are the worst Terminator movies, T3 and Genesis. They're still very watchable movies.
I
Like
agree. I'll be honest.
they may not be great movies, but they're very watchable.
I don't hate Genesis as much as other people because I actually did this thing. I rewatched. I was rewatching all of the films. Maybe it was leading up to Dark Fate. Maybe that's when I did it. But I went back and rewatched all of them, and I was like, T1, T2, T3, Salvation, Genesis, and out of those 5, when I did that rewatch, because I kind of binged them, like T3 was the worst out of all of them. I did not. It was weird though because I remember really liking T3 when I was younger, but that one held up the least to me. Like that one just did not hold up very well at all. I didn't really care for any of the characters, and I didn't really even like what they did with Arnold in that film. I mean, it was just, I don't know, I just didn't really care for it. It was a little too almost like kind of cartoony in a way.
Yeah,
It didn't feel believable at any time. But Genesis, I was like, man, this ain't bad. Like Genesis wasn't bad. Like I like that whole thing when they tricked the Terminator and then they dumped the acid down on him. Like that was badass. That was a really cool scene. And I don't know. I like the fight scene between the Terminator and then the new Terminator that could like kind of shift his body or his molecules or whatever around. You know what I mean? And
John Connor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. He was John Connor. That's right. John Connor again. Yeah, that's right. I forgot he was John Connor. Yeah, but he could do all that, and I like that whole fight scene between him and Arnold was actually pretty like badass. And I liked Arnold's relationship with that was Sarah Connor. It was young. She was Sarah Connor, right? And that the lady from Game of Thrones. I liked his relationship, like fatherly, like bond with her in that movie. I thought that was good because he was kind of like being overbearing or overprotective because that new guy was coming into the picture. Remember when they're loading the guns at the same time and his like kind of gears malfunction, like his thumb malfunctions when he's like loading the bullets, the rounds into the clip or whatever. So yeah, I like Genesis. I got to give it some props because that was actually it was fun on the rewatch. And so was Salvation. So
Genesis is most fun because you get to hear T800 telling Kyle Reese and Sarah to mate the whole movie.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You must mate.
Right. Yeah. You guys gotta bang. You gotta bang. Yeah, that was good, man. I liked it. Yeah, I think Genesis is kind of underrated. That'd be another hot take for sure, but I do think it's kind of underrated. People are just so ready to shit on it. You know what I mean? Everybody's so ready to just crap all over any new Terminator or Alien or anything,
because like if it's not T2, don't even show up. We're talking about one of the best movies ever made.
Exactly.
Come on.
A little hard to compete with. Yeah.
All right. What's your
next one? What you got?
Do you have any more? Or
oh no, that was yours. That's right.
That was mine.
Right.
What is your last hot take for the night?
Okay. Yeah, my last one. Babadook. The Babadook. Dude, I don't know have you seen the Babadook?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have.
Yeah, dude, that movie, once again, go look on Rotten Tomatoes, go look on IMDb, very highly rated. People love that film.
What does it have? I'm gonna look it up right now. I'm
Oh yeah,
curious.
go to Rotten Tomatoes, you'll see it. It's crazy.
Oh,
And it's
98%. Holy shit.
yeah, 98%, right?
What the hell?
And the audience score I think is like 76 or 74% or something like that.
72% for audience.
Yeah, but 98% for critics, right? Yeah, dude, that's crazy. I mean, this film, like, once again, I get it. I've only seen it once, but I can't. I just have not wanted. I know I'm eventually gonna probably end up rewatching that for our WTF stream, on my buddy Brad's channel here. I know we're probably gonna break that movie down at some point, and I will watch it, and I will really pay attention and analyze it, and watch the special features and go into the background of it. But I just, dude, the I didn't like the mother or the kid. I mean, I didn't like the characters. They just drive me nuts. I didn't even
Oh, is
really.
that because they're British? You just don't like British people? Is that what
Yeah,
it
those
is?
damn Brits, man, those stupid accents. No, it's not. It's not even that. It's just that it's just so. It's slow. To me, it was kind of monotonous. It was, I didn't even think it was the best like directed movie either. I mean, it was okay. I get what it was going for. I understand, the message and the story and everything behind it, and I get it, but I didn't care. For me, it was just such a slog to get through. And the payoff at the end just wasn't really worth it to me. But I've only seen it once. I rented it when it first came out because everybody was talking about it. It was very overhyped. I was like, oh, the Babadook, you gotta check it out. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay. And I rented it, and that was it. And I was like, oh my God, but it might be another one of those cases where it's like the hype was just too high. You know what I mean? So maybe if I rewatch it again, I'll be like, okay, I get what they're going for. Maybe the acting and and the direct, maybe it will click differently. Maybe it won't bug me as much. So I'm always willing to give a movie second or third chance. But I just remember being so bored during that film, and I just didn't.
I agree.
I didn't
It was
care.
boring.
Oh, you feel the same way?
Yeah, there's what was I gonna say? There are some tense sequences in that movie. I'll give it that. Some scary things. Not scary, but some tense moments when he's like crawling on the ceiling, going like Babadook.
In like the third act, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The third act,
but you got it.
right,
You gotta get there.
Yeah, it's a slog though. Yeah. But the third act is probably the most memorable part of the film. It's just that build up. I just didn't feel like, oh my God, dude. Okay, I get it. Because it kind of kept doing the same thing. I'm like, I hate it when a film just keeps like nailing in the same point. Like, you get it, like, yes, I get it.
I get it.
Like,
This dude's name is Babadook. He doesn't need to say it 10,000 times.
And I get, the mother with her kid, and she's just, had it, you know what I mean? And just, I get it. I understand what the film was going for and stuff, but maybe it's just not relatable enough to me either, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I'll give it another shot at some point, Babadook.
They said Brad said he's gonna do it on WTF just for you.
Oh, I know. As soon as I made the foolish mistake of saying that, how much I like hate that movie, I knew. I'm like, oh, that's gonna be the next episode. Or that's gonna be the next film that we end up breaking down on the WTF stream.
The skinny broad from Scream 5 knows what she's talking about. She says the Babadook is the best horror movie ever.
Oh, dude, yeah, that. Oh my God. When she said that, I was just like, and that's a great example too, because they were talking about in that scene in Scream 5, they were talking about elevated horror. And, Ghostface is like, isn't that kind of fancy pants, whatever.
Yeah, we just want people dying and having premarital sex. That's all we want.
But no, I can appreciate, like, I like, because I feel like whenever you say stuff like that, whenever you like shit on a film, bless you, that's, one of these like slow burn like horror films with like a lot of meaning in it and a lot of like, like people will say, oh, you just didn't get it, you didn't understand the message, or you just, you're not a true horror fan because you didn't get it, and it's like, no, it's like I love a lot of slow paced or methodically paced, whatever you want to say, like horror films. Like, like I love The Shining. The Shining's, that's one of my favorite horror films. I think it's amazing, and a lot of people say that's a very slow film. You know what I mean? And I love it. There's a lot of movies like that, but this just wasn't one of them. I don't know what to tell you. The Babadook just wasn't one of those films. I'm sorry, but.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Hot take: Scream 6 is dog shit. Whoa.
Oh yeah, Brad's not a fan of the new Scream movie, Scream 6. Yeah, I like really, Scream 6. I like it. Yeah, I like the first 2 acts. I think the third act is kind of where it loses me with like Bill and everything. Yeah. That's where it gets.
But having in New York was cool.
Yeah, I like the New York setting, but that and the lack of. Spoiler alerts, but the lack of like main character deaths that people probably should have died after getting stabbed that many times and stuff. I think that's a little goofy too. But I do think in Scream 6 they ramped up the tension more, and you got like some good, like the scene where she's going across the ladder and the subway sequence and all that stuff too. But it's a little undercut. Some of those, like the subway sequence, is a little undercut by the fact that. Spoiler alerts for Scream 6, but the fact that, she does end up surviving her wounds and that and everything. It's like if she had died, I think it would have added more to the stakes and been a little bit more realistic, but still enjoyed it. Still enjoyed Scream 6. So, I don't love it, but I enjoyed it. It was
The Innkeepers is such trash. People cream over that song.
I haven't. That's a Ty West film that I gotta watch. I still need, but see, I hear things like that, and I'm kind of like, I'll push it to the back burner.
Maybe people just cream over Ty West movies.
Yeah, a little too much. Yeah, I mean, I like Ty West, but House of the Devil, I think, is still his best film. I haven't seen The Sacrament yet, though. That like kind of shot on video style movie he did, because that sounds pretty good. I want to check that one out. But what is your next one? This is your last one, right, sir?
Yeah, my hottest take, it doesn't even compare to anything else I've talked about tonight.
I don't know if it can be hotter than the Terminator Dark Fate. I'll be honest, man. I don't know if it can beat that one, but go ahead.
This movie hot take, I shit you not, took me until last year to like finally just admit it to myself, because I didn't want to be subject to all the hate I was going to receive for this. But here you go.
Oh, I'm scared.
I don't like Star Wars.
Oh, you don't like any Star Wars? No Star Wars? You own all of them.
I own them all. I'm a completionist. No, so yeah, it's like the hottest take ever. Anyways, at least I think it is. That's why I saved it for last. My favorite is episode 7, and I'll give up. And going off my Letterboxd, I just rewatched them all last year just to make sure, confirm to myself. I gave episode 7 a 4 out of 5. It's my favorite one.
Okay, so the Force Awakens. Okay,
Rogue One is number 2.
Okay,
but let's see if I can share my Letterboxd actually, so I can. This will be better. Let me see.
Rogue One is good. That's a good Star Wars movie. I mean, I don't know what to tell people. Like, I think the characters could have been maybe developed a little bit better, but the movie itself is just so. It's just so cool, man. I just love. I mean, it's got so many awesome action sequences, and you care enough about the characters to where it's good, and it gives you the history behind all that. You know what I mean?
Can you see this?
With the Death Star plans and all that stuff, so it builds in that history like retroactively. So, yeah. Can
you guys see my list here?
Yeah. Yep, I can see it. Yeah.
Awesome.
1, Force Awakens. Number 2.
So we have number 1, Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
2, Rogue One. 3, the original. 4, Empire Strikes Back. And everything after that, I'm not a big fan of. Not a fan.
Right, you got to take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. That's interesting that you put the original over Empire, like the original Star Wars, the first film over Empire. I don't think enough people appreciate the original Star Wars. I really like the original, but a lot of people would always say Empire, or yeah, Empire
Right.
over the original. Which I don't know, man. The original is pretty damn good. It
It's
really
just
is. I don't think
it's
people appreciate it enough sometimes, but it's pretty damn good.
it's just it's just one of those franchises where like I watch it and I genuinely don't get it. I like those numbers right there are from last year, like middle of last year. It's like I I don't get it. Like I genuinely don't get where people are coming from when they're watching these and they're like, these are my favorite movies of all time, favorite franchise. I just I genuinely don't get it. Like, with like some other movies I can watch it and be like, I didn't care for it, but I understand. It's just like, no, I don't get it with these. I don't get it with Star Wars. I don't. I really don't. And I know that's like cinematic sacrilege to not like Star Wars. It's just like, because I mean, it's like one of the biggest, most popular franchises of all time. But
Yeah,
it's just like I really don't get it.
that's okay. Well, you know what it is, man. Once again, I think it's because you know, I think it does help to kind of grow up with those films for some people. Even though I only grew up with the prequels is what I grew up. That's my generation. The prequels. So I kind of grew up with that was
I
mine.
mean,
Yours
I
are the
mean,
newer ones, but
but I mean, I grew up watching those original 6 movies. Like, I watched them a lot. Like, I've watched all the original 6 movies a lot of times.
oh, okay. So
But
your
it's
your
just
dad
like
your dad probably showed them to you. I'm guessing.
and my mom, like, they both really like the first trilogy, the original trilogy, obviously.
And you're just
Um,
sitting over there like,
I'm just like I'm just watching it, and, like, for the longest time, I I'm swear, for the longest time, I kept telling myself, "Yes, I love these movies." And just eventually, I'm just like, "I don't know."
yeah, that's fair.
It's just like I don't know. It's just I don't get it. I don't get it. I understand it's culturally significant, but I just don't get it. And especially now, I haven't watched any of the shows on Disney Plus, but like the MCU, it's getting very oversaturated with like 4 new shows a year or something. It's just like it's so oversaturated now. And I mean, you could just fire that right back. It's like, well, the MCU has like 4 new shows a year. Yeah, but they're not. I haven't really sung the praises of those. And it's
No,
like,
or
yeah,
their Star Wars, yeah, like none of that stuff.
no.
Yeah, no,
It's
it's
just
too
like,
much. They're over inundating
like,
us with all this. It's
and
enough.
like,
It's enough already.
yeah, and it's just like I don't get it, and so I'm just like, as me as like the consumer, right? I'm just like, since I don't like it, I'm just like, if if I don't think it's quality and I'm not enjoying it, then why is there still more coming out?
Mm.
I know this is a very me thing, and I know it's yeah, that's why I saved it for last because I feel like it's my hottest take. I know in real life, it's the take I've had the most arguments with people about.
Yep.
Not like
No,
it.
that's a good one, man. That is definitely a hot take. But like I said, I don't. It is what it is. If you don't like it, you don't like it. It's just not really your thing. You know what I mean? Not everybody loves the laser swords and stuff. You know what I mean? It's just or the force or any of that stuff. You gotta buy into the mythology and really love the characters and stuff. And for some people, it's not there. You can't force yourself to relate to the characters if you just don't like them. But Brad was saying like he was talking about Ty West. Um,
Yeah.
watch Innkeepers for the and you know uh Innkeepers is basically ambient in disc form. Yeah, so basically just put you to sleep. um yeah, loves House of the Devil or Love House of the Devil, but I think X edges it out as best Ty West movie. Hope Max.
They announced like a huge cast for Maxine with like Kevin Bacon and
Oh yeah,
stuff
I
the
know.
other day.
Yeah, Kevin. I'm avoiding all. I'm probably not even gonna watch the trailers when they come out for Maxine. I'll be honest. I think I want to go into it completely blind because that's the way I went into X, and I kind of want to go into Maxine like that too. I just think I want to go into it blind.
Vader scene in Rogue One, at the beginning of New Hope is killer. That's a very good scene.
Yes,
Like there are
excellent.
definitely individual scenes in these movies, whether I like them or not. There's individual things in all these movies that I'm like, yeah, that's great, or I think that's good. Like
Yeah.
I don't think they're all terrible movies except for like Episode 1, 2, and 9. I think are trash. Like even Episode 8, the throne room sequence fight.
Bless you.
Damn, I keep sneezing. Anyways, that whole throne room fight, that's incredible. That's my favorite lightsaber anything. It's just so well choreographed. Um yeah, I mean there's definitely positives about most of the movies. It's just they just don't resonate with me the way that they do with everyone. It's kind of like we were talking about earlier with Forrest Gump. I'm just never in the mood to go rewatch them. I just never am and there's like some people like, "Oh, I need to watch all of them once or twice a year." I'm just like, I could watch this once every 5 years.
Yeah, the Vader scene though, that is one of those. It's another like what you were talking about before, where you could kind of just clip that scene out, which Brad has actually. He's used that I think in his in one of his reels or whatever. You know, like you play before your stream's about to start or whatever. I think he's had that on there. But you can just clip that one scene from Rogue One. It's just amazing. I mean, that's easy. You know, that's the best. That's got to be the
Pretty
best
badass.
Vader scene.
Badass.
I mean, without any dialogue. You know, I mean, just him being a badass and killing a bunch of people and all that stuff. Like, come on, that's amazing, right?
Killing people is awesome.
Right.
A New Hope is almost as dark as Empire.
You see what I mean, right? Exactly. And I don't think because people always say like, "Oh, Empire," you know, the ending, and it's right, it's edgier and this and that. I'm like, dude, A New Hope it's got that stuff too. I mean, they kill his his parents or
You
his
see their like charred bodies too.
his like the people that are looking after him. You know what I mean? Like his uncle and his aunt or whatever. You know yeah, they kill him, and right, like you said, they show their like charred skeletal remains. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? Like, that's something that like Disney probably wouldn't show nowadays. Like, that's pretty brutal.
No, they would not.
Like, they're not gonna show. They're not gonna show that. They're gonna have
I'm
like
pretty sure the first one's just rated PG. It's not even PG-13.
Yeah, it's PG. The first PG-13 Star Wars film was Sith, Rise of the Sith. That was the first PG-13 Star Wars film, because you have like the decapitation scene at the beginning, and you have it's dark for what I mean. It's a dark movie.
Disney paid $4.2 billion for Star Wars. They're going to be pumping it out hardcore for decades to come. Yeah, Disney needs to stop pumping out stuff. Like, I haven't seen the Star Wars Disney Plus stuff, but based off of what I've heard, it's about the same quality as a lot of the stuff the MCU's gotten. And if it's that, it's not very good, and they need to slow down with how much they're pumping out.
Yes.
Take time, do it right, make things that are actual quality, and then pump it out. Because I'd rather have quality over quantity.
Or I meant to say, not Rise of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith. That's what I meant to say. Revenge of the Sith was the first PG-13 Star Wars.
Uh-oh. I'm going to get in trouble here. This is my father. Vader fighting Kenobi series is the best one. Fox, no words. I'm not going to watch Kenobi. I don't care. So I'll never know. I'm not going to spend.
I did see that clip. I don't have Disney Plus or whatever. But I did see that scene or whatever, and it is a pretty awesome scene for sure. It's a cool fight.
Dude gets his arm cut off at the cantina within minutes of the movie in New Hope.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He just straight up cuts the guy's arm off. Yeah, that's right. I mean, and plus, hey, Han shot first. He killed Greedo.
Also, yeah. It's like one of those things where it's like, I know it's unpopular, so I don't really like try to argue it. Just like,
no, it's just your opinion on a movie, dude. You can.
How do you feel about this franchise?
Well, the original 3 plus, I do have a soft spot for the you know, for the prequels because those are the ones that I grew up with, and I know. And I honestly, I don't know, man. I think the prequels are kind of underrated, especially Revenge of the Sith.
I think that's the best one for sure.
Yeah, I think Revenge of the Sith is really good, actually. It brings like, because people said like the other two are kind of, they're a little too light, a little too, Jar Jar Binks, too funny, too, whatever. But dude, Revenge of the Sith is just dark. I mean, that entire movie is very, very dark. So it's like,
Yes, killing children.
yeah, exactly. Killing the younglings and all that stuff. And, I think George Lucas was like, okay, you want dark? All right. You know what I mean? Like, you got it. You got it. But obviously there were a lot of things they could have done better with the prequels. I would have loved to have seen more Darth Maul, because he's such a cool character, and they did do him justice in Clone Wars, but I wish that they had done him justice in like, the live action, films and stuff. But no, overall I'm positive with Star Wars, except for I don't like Rey very much. I mean, I think she's good in The Force Awakens, but I just don't think they do enough with her later on. They kind of just keeps, doing the same stuff, and
they screwed themselves over with that trilogy because they went into it with one vision, then they switched it between movies.
Yep.
Bad reception to 8, then switched it again to like course correct to like, oh, we gotta wrap it up. Like, no, just there's a way to fix it. And I don't even like I don't even care that much, but I could fix it for you guys. Here's how you do it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like you said, the course correction was a bad idea. They should have had one vision, one director, and just made it happen.
Stay with it.
Yeah. Exactly. Because The Rise of Skywalker was just like, I mean, literally the director went back and just undid everything the past director, the one that, the movie in between, like he went back and like brought all of his stuff. He brought the helmet back for Kylo. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
After he destroyed it in the one movie, he brought that back.
And he brought Palpatine back.
And Palpatine.
That was set up so well in episode 7 and 8. Didn't come out of anywhere. Yes. It did. Totally set up.
So it was too much because he's trying to fix what the previous movie did while
trying to be a finale.
Exactly. And it's like,
you're doing too much.
It just didn't work, Mm-hmm. So, yep.
The thing is, they should be able to take their time with Star Wars because Disney made their 4.2 billion back, which is 789 already. Yeah, they definitely made their thing. Here's the thing: is that they launched this streaming service. So like, oh, how do we get people to sign up for it? We're gonna put all this content out for it. We just quantity of content over quality of content. That's the problem.
Yeah, no, it's right, exactly.
It's not really about.
It's true. It's
about getting draw to their platform right now.
Yeah, they made their money back within like the first 2 films or whatever, like easily. They made their money. And so it was just like, I mean, Lucas, I feel like he just didn't even need the money in the first place. So, I mean, I get it. It's a lot of money, but it's like, I mean, I feel like Lucas was already pretty well off to do. So, why give up like the thing that made you? You know what I mean? I don't think I would ever give that up. I would just let it die with me, if I'm being honest. I really would. I'd take those first 6 films that I wrote and everything, and I'd just take them with me to the grave, and that's it. Nobody else gets Star Wars. I would make sure it just died with me because he's already got more than enough money for himself, plus his family and generations to come. It's like, and honestly, even if he wanted more money, he himself could have made another Star Wars movie. And even if it was a half-assed Star Wars movie, people still would have went to see it because it's Star Wars. You know what I mean? So
yeah, you just slap Star Wars on it, you'll get millions of people to just watch it and cream about it.
So if I was George, I would have, it's like, look, if you don't feel like, directing it or taking, even writing the majority of the story, then you can license it out for, like one movie, be like, okay, yeah, you guys go ahead and, I'll look at the script to make sure it's not too crazy out. Like if I'm George Lucas, I'll look at the script or whatever, and then it's like, okay, this sounds good, whatever, you guys go ahead and do it. And maybe have some of his, like, because George Lucas has like a staff of writers that he trusts, maybe have them kind of come up with like a concept or some kind of story, and you know and then go forward with it. But what I'm saying is I would never give up the rights to Star Wars to Disney
Mhm.
for any amount of money. Honestly, I would just, because it's your legacy, and I think your legacy is more important than that. And like I said, if you just want to pump out any bullshit Star Wars movie to make money, you can still do that. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gave that up.
Yeah. Well, that's it for my hot takes. Do you have any other random ones, one-offs, anything else
You
you'd
know
like
what,
to
dude? We did
share?
such a good job going back and forth. The only one that I didn't mention, but I talked about it on our previous stream, was Alien 3, the assembly cut, which, I know you don't like the movie. I really like it. Um, like I said before, I think the original Alien is this really well done horror sci-fi film that concentrates on like the characters and the suspense and ramping up the tension, and then the second film is like it concentrates and focuses more on the action. With it still has a great story, great characters, but it concentrates more on the action. It's more of an action film than like a horror film. But then Alien 3 to me takes it back to the first Alien, where it concentrates on, it's a slow burn. It concentrates more on the story, the characters, even though people get mad because they killed off, Hicks and Newt at the beginning of it. But I say whatever. I think it's kind of cool because it is kind of a ballsy choice to kill off those characters. And then to top it all off, on top of that, they even have an autopsy scene with Newt, which is also brutal because you just see like this blood draining out. Like, they really double down on it, and I like that. I think that's like a ballsy choice because I'm good with Hicks and Newt being out of it. I mean, it was cool. I love aliens, and that's but I'm fine with them killing him off. You know what I mean? We got Ripley. That's the main character. That's the person that we're following, and it concentrates on the characters. Like, you get to know everybody, and you follow with them. You follow with the story. You get to know like what happened, and and it just takes its time. And then on the side, you see the alien, and it starts slowly picking him off one by one, kind of. But it's brutal. I mean, I'm telling you, that assembly cut especially adds more gore, more blood. It's pretty brutal, but it just takes itself more seriously. And then the fourth film, Resurrection, kind of goes back to that action sci-fi again. So it's funny how they do it, because it's like the first one, horror sci-fi, then it goes to like action sci-fi, then it goes back to horror sci-fi, and then the fourth film, Resurrection, goes back to action sci-fi. So it kind of, but yeah, I think Alien 3 is really underrated. I do. I think it's just a really good, horror sci-fi film that takes its time, develops its characters. It's about the story first, not like the action stuff, and I like it. I really do. But it's not as good. I still wouldn't put it above Alien or Aliens, but I do like it. Yeah, I think it's a really solid film.
At some point, I would like to watch the assembly cut. 'Cause
Yeah, that
I have heard it's the better of the two cuts, and considering I don't like the movie, maybe I'll change it.
yeah.
But
It makes more sense because there's stuff that they cut out that it kind of, if you're paying attention to the story, it doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? There's like a character that just disappears that has a big role in the film, and he just kind of disappears halfway through, and he's key in the alien escaping, because they get the alien trapped, and then this character comes along and does something, and it gets free, and that whole thing's like taken out in the original cut because they were, they had to chop it down. They're like, make it faster, make it move a little smoother, don't get rid of some of this other stuff. So studio interference. But sometimes studio interference I get, but with this film, I would have let him just do his thing, and just make a good movie. But I get it. Fincher, was new at the time. Like, this was like his big it's time to shine, break out, and everything. And the studio is probably afraid because this is a big franchise, and they didn't want to just let like this kind of no-name director at the time, David Fincher, like, I don't, maybe he doesn't know what he's doing. Let's step in and change some things, make it faster. And I think they fucked up like a really solid movie, because even the assembly cut isn't really his cut. It's like the producer went back and added scenes that Fincher had in there and made it, a more fleshed out movie, but it's still not David Fincher's full vision. It's just closer to his vision, So, what about you? You have any honorable mentions?
No, I shared everything I had. So
yeah, you killed it, man. You killed it with some of those. Those last two were, whoo.
Yeah, had to save the best for last. Had to save them. All right.
Do we have any more comments?
Yeah, one more. Oh wait, no, we already read that one. Yep, that's all of our comments. So I think that will do it for our stream tonight.
Great stream, man.
Yes, it's always fun getting on and talking. Anything coming up on your channel within the next week or so that people should keep their eyes out for?
Oh man, I think, let's see. I think I'm going to do an unboxing, even though I kind of already did it on your channel, but it was fun. But I'll probably do an unboxing on my channel for House of a Thousand Corpses. Probably break it down, and everything, and just talk about what an awesome release this is. So badass. And I've got some more NECA unboxing stuff like that. I will show this off really quick. I got this. Speaking of Terminator, got Terminator NECA figure right here, which is pretty badass. So I'll probably be doing an unboxing for this soon. The glare is kind of brutal, but yeah, I love that it gives you two alternate head sculpts there. You get the glasses, then you get like the bloody, cyborg kind of half human, half bloody cyborg metal face there, and then you kind of just get his regular face off to the side there, which is pretty sweet. So yeah, probably that, and just some more just talking movies and stuff, just more movie reviews and stuff like that.
As far as what I'm gonna be doing, I've been real out of it for reviews recently. I just haven't. I don't know. I just haven't felt like doing them recently, but I'm gonna do. I have 3 for the rest of the month for sure. I'm gonna do Renfield, Evil Dead Rise, and Sisu. Those are the 3 I definitely want to do, and then I'm trying to brainstorm other things I can do on my channel. So maybe this month I'll start doing some new things. Maybe next month. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking, but yeah, I got to get back into doing reviews. I haven't done one since John Wick 4 like 3 weeks ago.
I know, yeah, man. Do you just gotta, whatever is fun for you. I think whatever is going to be the most fun, whether it's reviewing movies or talking about doing ranking videos, or just doing like these live stream, whatever you're having the most fun doing, I would try to do that. I mean, obviously you want to put out the videos, once or twice a week, get some content going and stuff like that. So people find your channel and see what you're about. But I don't know, man, I just talk about things that you're passionate about, that you want to talk about. Like if you love, like the Terminator franchise, do a video, you can rank the Terminator movies, and then, which would be a pretty unique ranking. And then you can break them down as you're discussing them and say what you love about them, hate about them, and I don't know, it's just fun talking about the movies that you love, so I would just stick with whatever is gonna give you the most energy, whatever you have the energy to talk about, that's going to be the most fun. Because I think if you're having fun on screen, then other people see that and they're having fun, you know what I mean? And it makes them want to revisit like some of those movies and stuff. So that's what I think is most important. Just have fun.
Yeah, for sure. It should. Part of why I've kind of been inactive with my reviews is I got promoted at work, so I've been putting in a lot more hours and stuff at work.
Oh, congratulations,
man. So it's kind of like when I get home, Or like on my days off, I'm just like I want to go see all these new movies and stuff because like when I get home from work or like days at work, I don't have time to like do my reviews and stuff. So it's kind of like trying to figure out, do I want to review this movie or do I want to go see more new releases? And
Right.
personally, for me, I like going to see as many new releases as I can. So
Hey, where are you
I'm sure
watching?
it'll slow down, but
Where are you watching that Sisu movie? Where's that premiering or whatever? Where's that? Is that in
I don't
theaters? Is it online? Is it on
I
Netflix?
don't know.
What is it?
It should be in theaters, but I'll find a way to watch it.
Okay.
We're pretty good where I live. We're pretty good about getting releases. There's like there's 4 different theater chains around where I live, so
Oh, good. Okay.
pretty diverse, pretty easy to find releases. So yeah,
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was a movie that was going to theater or if it was like a straight to streaming thing. I wasn't sure, but
I'm pretty sure it's coming to theaters. I
yeah.
saw the trailer in theaters in front of John
Oh, okay.
McClure. So
It looks badass. I saw the trailer, I think, on YouTube or whatever. I was like, oh yeah, that does look good. That looks good. But yeah.
awesome. So, yep. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for those of us who joined us live for sharing some of your hot takes, reacting to ours. It's pretty fun. Always fun when you're sharing unpopular opinions. So,
Yeah.
yep. I think that will do it for this stream.
Hey,
So,
great
thanks
stream.
for watching.
Thank you for having me on too, and
Of course.
to everybody who watched and hit the like button and all that stuff and subscribe and all that. But no, I appreciate you having me on, man. It was a lot of fun. It was a blast.
Yes, it's always fun having you. So,
Yeah.
yep. Thanks everyone for watching. See you next time, guys.